depth charge, all of these things, viable statements I could have said and didn't. Just out of time there for the Gnarl and Hodgson now taking a fair amount of damage, but that's a lot of Sanguine Blade damage.
He's just standing still and autoing.
Are you sure this is a good idea, Hodgson?
Be careful, Ben!
Right now, for every single window door that you buy, I'll give you another one absolutely free.
Something's coming to town, coming to your town.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and all the rest. My name's Cradden, and welcome to VLF1 for yet another weekend. This is round 3 of our season 6, and you're joining us for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, live from the Baku City Circuit. With me on the desk tonight, you'll see him again in several forms, is a bunny girl with light blue hair, the name Ratio over the front, and a sort of penchant for playing all sorts of different games. Repeating his role on the broadcast from last week, it's Pushka. How are you doing?
We're vibing.
Yeah,
chilling.
Boy. So, what have you been up to in the week since we did our last broadcast?
World of Warcraft has a new expansion.
Nice.
I shall say no more.
Yeah, we'll save the World of Warcraft streams for later on twitch.tv/Pushka. But tonight is all cars. We're gonna look at VLF1, and carrying on from last week, Pushka, we obviously commentated together over the chaotic cluster that was the Styrian Grand Prix.
Oh, the bodgening.
The bodgening. Everyone loved the Bodgeson win. I don't think anything else happened. That's what we're all preoccupied with.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you, from which you've grown as a person from watching that Grand Prix? Is there anything you've taken away from it?
I'm sad we didn't get to properly see the Blaze Homekicker crash at the end. Seeing it retroactively, it was very funny, but I wish we could have seen it in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's. I think we have a real knack when we cast together. We make amazing calls. When we casted in Portimao, we did the safety car call.
God.
And obviously, last week we talked about Blandon. I'll say Blandon. That's a brilliant insult. He was on the last lap. We said he might crash last lap, and then it happened. So, yeah. We'll talk about predictions in a bit to test your prophetic skill. But yeah, round 2 is over. We're now moving to a different track. Have you seen any of the Baku City Circuit at all?
I googled it like 20 minutes ago to see what it looked like, and I feel like I recognize it. I wouldn't know anything track-wise. I just remember it. It looked quite nice.
It is quite a beautiful track, and it's Baku. It's sort of kind of European looking, couple of Arabic influences, load of views on the water where Kimi Räikkönen can park his yacht. But yeah, it's got a nice like old looking castle. I don't think there's any new looking castles with like lasers or anything. But there's a lot of long straights, a lot of because it's in the middle of a city, you've got a load of right angled corners rather than smooth curves. And that means that because you're going up to intersections and junctions, a lot of the corners are just really low speed. You get down to about 20-30 miles an hour and make a really tight turn. So there's going to be a lot of that rather than the fast-flowing curves of the Red Bull Ring with lots of room for battles, lots of room for activities. Potentially a lot more wall slams. Are you interested by that prospect?
You know what? I was intrigued, but now you have my attention, and I will be watching the whole time.
It is going to be glorious. We have There are a couple of corners that we're going to be watching out for, and you'll be seeing in the race, hint, hint. One of them is the castle section. So in Sector 2, there's a nice little tight corner to the left. There's an incline up a narrow side street, and just at the top of that ramp is going to be the castle in Baku. And that little corner, it's a sharp 5th gear entrance to a 3rd gear brake. And it's often where a lot of drivers have a really tough time because there's not really room to get past as well. One crash can lead to a big pileup. So we've already had questions in Discord about what will happen if there's a pileup. I think we can safely say we're going to laugh.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that a default response?
Either that or, I don't know, maybe if we had a soundboard anywhere, we'd press some buttons on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, now yeah.
Definition of self-control right here.
Oh god, there's so many buttons.
The other one will be good is ping pong. So it's the name for the quick dog leg of corners that are the last 2 corners on the track. They're taken at high speed and they're very easy to get your steering inputs wrong on, particularly as your tires start to degrade and the traction's not perfect. So it's very easy to sort of ping off one wall, pong off the other, hence the name. And just
wibbly wobbly.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, pingy pongy, and just absolutely do your car in on the way up to the home straight. So I'd say if I could give you a bit of advice as a frequent Baku watcher and driver, those are the 2 to watch out for. Castle crashes and wibbly wobbly ping pong.
Now the image makes sense. Okay.
Technical terms all over. Yeah, I
was wondering.
So that was the Castle crashes meme image in VLF1 info. The other one that you'll have seen during the week is you can't hear him, but he's here. Travis is doing our direction this week with the enigmatic stool bend being away. Yeah, what Travis has done is he's made a great 9-minute compilation of Bodchen's win in Austria. Oh, okay, we've got a nice map of the track in the background. Get in there, Trav. It looks a bit like a key to me, like a. You've got the ring of the key on the left, and you've got like I don't know what the names for a key, the technical terms for the parts of a key are, but you stick the red bit in the door and turn the blue bit.
Kingdom Hearts is real.
Anime is real. Something about the One Piece. But yeah, you can see the bit on the right. There's lots of those right-angled corners, slow approaches. It's very easy for there to be a miscalculation of a braking zone, and for one driver to suddenly cause a couple of problems for another driver. So as a neutral, it's fantastic. We should get lots of Twitch clips of people molding, tilting, everything to follow.
Hell yeah.
And to look at that map as well, the castle section is, I think I've got these turns right. The turn 7 it's in sector 2, so the blue sector. You've got a nice little right-angled right turn, and then sort of 4 little changes of direction, turns 8 through 11. That's the little narrow street where there really isn't room for 2 cars on the racing line. So that's where we're going to see potential pileups.
Perfect for a race with more than 1 car.
And we will have more than 1 car here tonight. Perfect segue, Pushka. I don't know if we've got a shot of the rosters, but in any case, let's just we'll just shout as to who's going to be driving tonight. Production is smurfing as usual. We have had a couple of late changes. So I think from last week, Pushka, you saw most of the drivers that would have been there anyway. We didn't have Glenn there, and I think we were missing one more. It was Gaben because of the race DQ. We've got both of them back. We're going to be having Wilder miss the race. He's not feeling too well. The jury's still out, I believe, on Dormin and Alpha Tauri. He's had a couple of issues, but he might yet make it to the starting grid. His mate Nawar in Ferrari isn't going to make it either. So 3 drivers down, leaves 3 opportunities for reserve spots. We've got Klepto coming in. He's a completely new driver. I haven't seen him at all, or don't know Klepto at all. Klepto coming in from the League of Legends side. I think they're a member of the OP Nerds B team, or at least that's what the Discord tag suggests. If you believe Discord tags, then congrats on the Constructors Championship, Franklin. Klepto's coming in. He's going to be slotting into the Dutch partnership now of Alfa Romeo with Envy. So, for the first race to be Baku, it's going to be a real welcome to Formula One moment. Looking at the drivers there, any names exciting you for this one? Obviously, Hodgson aside.
I'll be curious to actually see the Glenn and Blaze rivalry once more on track, because we obviously didn't get that last week. So
Yeah, boy.
See where the lovers' quarrel causes collisions against the wall.
Yeah, you might get a thing wrong around ping pong. There's my rhyme for the day. We've got Glenn and Brandon is always fantastic to watch. Isaru asks in chat, when is Flyer winning? We don't even know if he's going to be connecting yet, so hold your horses on that one, my son. We've got all of those drivers there. It's a really nice field. We were saying on the pre-show yesterday. It's really competitive. Sunny, you see as the outright favorite, but there's going to be a lot of competition at the top. Like Hodge won a race last week. Gaben and Maka on their day can win a race. They won 5 between them in season 5. We've got Somfer who threatened to win a race last week. He's still looking for that first W. And quite a few drivers like Mancho, like Miffy, who could really just go out of nowhere and fight for the lead or those podium positions. So should be fantastic. We've got Haas on there, Zydox and Flyer. How are you seeing Flyer, Pushka? You got to see him a bit last week in Styria. He was doing really well, but didn't quite win because he had a few issues and penalties towards the end. How are you rating him?
I think wasn't he one of the ones that like sort of just not even slowly, but just like gradually made it from like the back and was like doing pretty well in like the first like 5 or 6 drivers. I mean, there's always hope. He seems to do pretty well. Just keep on keeping on.
Absolutely. He is our Speedy Gonzalez. He's from Spain, but we always say he's from Mexico. Haha, racism. But
whoa, what?
Draven player. We just say that Flyer, if you don't know him, he's one of our fastest drivers. He's been around since season 1. He is our season 1 World Drivers Champion. So for him to be showing up and nearly doing last to first in season 6 is incredibly impressive. He's got, I'm going to get this number wrong, it's about 20 race wins in the 113 races we've done so far. So really prolific. He's not been showing up as of late as in season 5. So him coming back and absolutely getting podiums is glorious to see. Again, he's another contender at the top. And that's without mentioning his teammate Zydox, who is a contender for any race win as we saw in season 5, but has had computer issues in rounds 1 and 2 this season. We'll see if Baku is his friend. Okay, now let's move on to... should we do some predictions, Pushka?
Oh boy!
Now I don't know if you can see the predictions that we made yesterday on the pre-show. There's a table in the briefing sheet, but we had Hodgson and Miffy yesterday, and we made some calls. So let's see if you agree with them or if you'd like to make a suggestion as we go through. So the first one's going to be weather. This is just divining stick in the air. Call it. I said dry, Hodge said dry, but Miffy said there's going to be some rain on the track. He said it's going to be at least some rainfall, bit of a wet race. How are you finding it?
Oh, that'd be fun for more chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to say wet race as well?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, next one is the winner. Now, I was boring. I went for Sunny, last year's champion. Hodgson went with Gaben, who was disqualified for last time. And we had Miffy, who went for Maka. Are you feeling them, or are you going for like Flyer, Zydox, something? Anyone else?
Ooh. I can hold out hope and just say Flyer.
Okay,
Since there seems to be like a lot of hope in him. And as you say, he was good before, but that was I don't know about all this.
Yeah, don't know if he's fallen off, but there's you're just putting a divining stick up to the wind.
Yeah.
From what you saw last week, Flyer's certainly fast.
And Brandon did in fact crash.
Where were you when Brandon crashed? Don't know. You'll have to be more specific as the answer to that one.
Be here again next week when he does it again.
So potentially more flaming on Brandon coming up. Next question is going to be a pile-up. The question for the team yesterday was, if there's a pile-up, who's going to cause it and where is it? Now, the 3 of us yesterday went for the 3 members of Project Ferrari that we knew were going to be racing. I went for Franklin, Hodge went for Envy, and Miffy went for Glenn. How are you feeling? Are you going to go for Clipto, the 4th member? Are we going somewhere else?
Why not?
Yeah, all 4 Ferraris?
It's going to be like, I don't know enough to make it, that's saying legitimate predictions on most aspects, but it's fun to just keep a trend going.
Yeah, got a rail on Ferrari. The next one is slightly similar. So DangerBot. See if you can remember any incidents from last week. The 3 shouts so far have been Impress, Sunny, and Wilder. Are you going to agree with any of those as a danger bot, someone who could cause a collision or be a bit too aggressive?
I'm trying to think who I'd seen the most, like, because I know Wilder span out a couple times, but there wasn't necessarily like danger for any. Unless it's just for themselves.
We could get our first bit of flaming on Brandon if you want.
Okay, you've tempted me. Go for it.
There we go. Blaze, danger bot. Next one is Dark Horse. So this is a good Dark Horse, someone who isn't really rated too highly, but will overperform, who will do really well relative to what we expect of them. So the shouts we've had so far, we had Monty from me. Hodge went for Mancho, his teammate. Miffy went for Dormin, his teammate. Those Red Bull guys really like each other. So with Monty and Shadow haven't scored a point yet between them. We haven't really seen much from Impress or Carlos and Williams.
It's the thing of like I feel like I know like less and less people on the list of drivers. I was like, these are all names I just don't know anymore.
Yeah, boy.
I've only been showed up like twice.
We'll see how you get on in 20 races. You're quickly becoming our most frequent commentator.
Do not rely on me. Christmas is coming, and I am a retail worker.
Oh man, feels bad, man. Go on, should we go for Impress or Carlos as a dark horse?
Carlos, sure.
Okay, Carlos is a shout actually because he was really not doing well last week. He was midfield and then he dropped to the back very early on. The next one is just the word surprise, so it could be good or it could be bad or it could be something you don't expect to happen. So mine was that Flyer's not going to make it past the first session of qualifying. Hodgson said that Zydox, who's had PC problems, is actually going to finish the race. Miffy said the same as you've just done, that Carlos is going to score some points. So it can be any surprise, good or bad. It might even be like a lobby restart or similar.
I think Hodge is going to win again.
Okay, I love it. You'd love to see it. And this next one is purely on the bad side. It's the biggest flop. So it's someone who's got all the hype surrounding them, is really set up to do brilliantly, and then at the last moment or any moment at all, just completely snuffs it away.
Maybe Sonny can die again.
Standard move. Yeah, to be honest, Miffy said that Sonny would flop as well. So that would certainly be a good one. He's done really well last season. He obviously DNF last week. It would really suck if he would DNF again. We also said that on the rest of the team, I said that Gaben DNFing would be the biggest flop. Hodge said that Flyer would finish outside of the points, which would be a massive shock compared to not only his early season form, but what he did last week. Let's keep going with the predictions. So next one is going to be the best start. So it's not about lap 1. It's literally just off the line who presses the A button on Mario Kart Double Dash rocket start. I've said Somther. Hodge has said Impress. Miffy has gone absolutely boring and said there's going to be no changes of position at all. How are you? Who's going to get the rocket start for you? I see what you mean. It's really tough when you don't know like half the grid.
Yeah. Well, it's that, and like I feel like the start is where it's just like haha bingo button, like just anything seems to happen.
So who's got the bingo button? Are we going to say? I think we can take inspiration from Ice here. Ice says that Glenn just wins by default because his nose finishes when the race starts.
Oh yeah, I mean that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go for Glenn and his nose.
He'll just zoom ahead because he'll like sneeze or something.
Nice. Moving on, we'll extending that to the whole lap. Unless Glenn's nose can go in a big circle, we might have to switch this next one up. I wouldn't rule it out. The next one is the best gains in lap 1. So on the pre-show yesterday, I said that Flyer would gain the most lap 1 because I said he'd crash out of qualifying. Hodge said that Impress would do really well and do some aggressive moves. and Miffy said that Mancha would be able to brave the castle, ping pong, and get a few positions. Is anyone lending Yuria for best gained lap 1? Couple of overtakes. Maybe it's someone like Sonny or Gaben or Maka who could do a couple of overtakes from the front.
I'll throw that one for Mecca, I guess.
Maka, I love it.
Mecca,
my beloved. But the next one is going to be. We'll finish on this one actually. We'll say safety car or virtual safety car impact. So Blaze asked yesterday to the pre-show team, is a safety car or virtual safety car going to do what happened when we casted in Portugal and just absolutely change the race and just change the strategy and absolutely upend the standings? Is that going to happen today or not?
Hell yeah, it is.
You love it. You're actually
There's going to be like so many safety cars, at least like 2.
At least 2. I love the shower. With that in mind, you're agreeing with Hodge and Miffy. I've gone for the contrary opinion. I've said that no, it's not going to happen at all, and we're just going to have like a boring standard strategy race. So yeah, a lot can happen. We've talked through predictions. We'll revisit a few of them later when we've had all the part and parcel of our race. But it now comes time to hand to the commentary track team. It's been beautiful here on the desk. All of the talking has been done. It's time for action for round 3 of the season 6 in VLF1. We hand you to our commentary team for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
One Q.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Baku City Street Circuit. It is located in Azdalik Square, in the capital of Azerbaijan, Baku. It is 26 laps of racing. We start out counterclockwise. There are 20 turns, 12 to the left, 8 to the right. It's a very fast circuit with one very long straight to get DRS down, reaching over 200 miles per hour. There are 2 DRS straights, and the P1 starts on the right-hand side of the grid. I am joined with my co-commentator, who's just ran down from the desk, Pushka. How are you doing, Pushka?
It's a long fuck. Oh, it's all way. Ugh. I'm good. I was able to drink a cold can of Monster Energy.
just chug it while running down the stairs.
Yeah. Oh, I was done before I got to the bottom of the stairs.
As we get into qualifying, quick to note that we currently are missing 1 driver off a full grid. We currently have 19 drivers, so we're looking to eliminate the bottom 4 drivers out of this session. So P16 down to P19 will get eliminated once that timer hits 0 and everyone has completed their laps. It's going to be an interesting race. The grid's looking quite close. Obviously, a lot of people have been sweating out the time trial. Are we excited for it? And do we think there's going to be carnage even in the qualifying session?
I mean, hearing about like the track, yeah, I feel like it'll be a good indicator of how much chaos will ensue. I think.
Yeah,
like
I
said,
think
the
so
weather's
too.
like a factor as well.
I think qualifying 1, people are gonna play it a bit safe. You know, try and stay away from the walls as much as possible. But I think come to that qualifying 3 when people are really trying to make those few tenths matter, we'll get some cars in the wall.
Hell yeah.
So as we see, Flyer is the first one to start his out lap. He comes into turn 1. You want to make the track as wide as possible, mounting the curbs as much as he can, and looks like a very nice turn 1. He's using a lot of the track, which is what you need to do at a street circuit. As he's coming up to the first DRS straight, he's gonna hit some traffic. Let's hope they can stay away from him. But can he slow the car down nicely enough for this? Yes, he can. Now, we're getting towards the technical part of the track. It's very much split into, as he has a bit of a wobble coming out of the turn there.
Yeah,
Let's hope he's not lost too much time. But this is the very technical part of the track. There's the technical part of the track, which is very much the middle section coming up and then there's the fast bit of the track where you just put your right foot down and hope for the best. It looks like he makes no contact coming through Castle, which is always very important. He comes out of Castle a bit sideways, the rear end wanting to step out, as he comes down to what is lovingly known as Esports Corner in our circle. Coming towards the final actual turn of the track, there are a couple more as we come up to Ping Pong, but pretty much you can keep your foot down through these and not lose too much time. He sends it round and we'll see as he makes his way down this very long straight what his lap time is.
I see ping pong now. I think I get it.
Yeah, it's if you hit one of the walls, you hit the other, and you're just gonna ping pong all the way down and just leave your car a mess in the middle of the track. As he sets a 140.6, which is immediately beaten by Sonny going just over 0.5 faster. It's gonna be interesting to see whether that's Sonny's peak time or whether people are gonna start closing in on that. No carnage as of yet, but the qualifying session is long.
It's a thing I forgot, because last week there wasn't qualifying, and it's like my brain had the move oh yeah, we don't start with the race. It's
it's
the bit before.
Yeah, it's the changing format, and obviously also going from a very open track like Austria to a track like Baku where one mistake and they're just in a wall. They're taking out 5 other drivers. It's going to be horrendous.
Crash.
But we'll have to see who is going to be on the receiving end of the flame for that. As we are currently following what I think is Aston Martin going round. We are following Gaben. I'm not too sure if he's on a frying lap, but we'll see. It looks like he is, especially with the way he's taking this castle section. He's really hammering it through there. There currently is a yellow flag in Sector 2. Let's hope this doesn't slow Gaben down too much, and whether it's either behind him or in front of him. I think as he's coming up to Sector 3 now, he will have cleared it. Oh, the yellow flags are just here. It'll be interesting to see whether he's had to back out during this lap. We're not really going to be able to tell, as Somther just sets the fastest lap, going 0.4 quicker than Sonny. We've got some competition on our hands.
It's not just Sonny sitting at the top, thank God.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Oh, to be fair, considering how close Mecca was as well, it's still
yeah.
I don't know how much of a difference is noteworthy.
As we see, Gaben does actually go second fastest. It looks like the yellow flags didn't hamper him too much, but we've got a qualifying session on our hands. Currently, the drivers who have set a time that are currently in the bottom are Mancho, Calypto, MV, and Blaze Homewrecker. These are the drivers that have set the lap. However, if the qualifying was to finish now, it would still be the bottom 4 drivers. It looks like Mancho's time isn't really a representative one. I'm guessing he had to lift off through the yellow flag or something similar to what we had. be interesting to see where he puts his car, because he's a driver that's showed up in the first 2 races. He's just been a bit unfortunate with what's gone on with him. So it's going to be interesting to see whether he can mentally reset coming into this race. He's got more yellow flags all popping up all over the place. It is a track for that. Even just getting out of the way of drivers on the hot lap, it's going to start throwing yellow flags just because there is no real space for the other cars to go. It's very much a narrow street circuit. It's sort of Monaco if Monaco had speed.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay, I'll just know for future reference, I guess, that one doesn't have the speed bit.
Yeah, Monaco very much. You set your time in qualifying, and that's where you finish in the race. It's
nice.
It's not really a race, if we're being honest.
Oh.
As we see Charlie setting the P2 lap. Something's still holding on to that P1, but he's starting to have challenges coming up left and right. It's important to note Charlie renamed himself in this. That is Zydox for anyone who's watched before. It's not someone new. He's just renamed himself on Steam. So it's someone we're expecting to do well if his computer can hold up. He's the one who decided, I'm going to show up to a race, and the computer replied with, "The fuck you are."
Yeah.
So
sometimes computer says no. For all those boomers out there that remember that classic TV show.
Computer says no. Oh, it was very satisfying doing that as a job. As it looks like 2 drivers currently yet to set a lap time. Impress currently on his hot lap, looking to get out of the bottom 4 and make his way through to Q2. Let's see where he's able to place the car as he comes along through ping pong and down the long straight. Now, this is always the awkward part of waiting the 15 seconds it takes to get down the straight to find out where you finish. As he comes across the line and he moves up into P15, which just gets him out of Q1 by the hair on his chinny chin chin. But with 1 driver still to set a lap time, that could all change. As it looks like Franklin has retired from the session. I have info from our man down at the pit lane. Cradon, over to you.
Cheers, Charmander. Yeah, I don't actually have info on the latest retirement. I think Franklin's just bored, to be honest, because that was in the pit lane. I actually got a talk with the Ferrari project because they've got Clipto, who's a completely new driver. He seems confident, and they've got a really nice call going together. They've got the 4 drivers. They've got Fabs, who's doing the Jeff role for them, and just Clipto's having a good time. They think they're just going to have some fun trying to improve their own laps at the moment, but they've considered getting a tow strategy going as it gets a bit more crunch in case they're struggling towards the end of Q1.
Thank you very much. It's interesting. Tow definitely very effective down Baku. You've got what I believe is the longest straight in F1 to pull your teammate all the way down. And it's probably the track where it is most effective to get a decent tow. As we see Envy just stick it in a wall at the end of turn 1. He's pulled a Hamilton, pressed his brake, and just gone straight on. So, having a quick look, I can't see any damage. It looks like he's mainly kept it out of the wall. But depending on how cooked his tyres are, it's going to be interesting to see whether he has to come in for a new set of tyres or not.
Well, like a bit of a rough tumble, but I guess it doesn't matter as much at this point. Cause
when you're sat that close, though, it's not the ideal scenario. You don't want to be, just squeaking through. You go to set your lap time and you drive straight into a wall. It's not the best look going into the race. So as we look, most of the drivers currently sat in the pits, we currently have Flyer, Dormin, and Envy out on track. We also have Clipto and Monty on the outlaps. Be interesting to see if anyone can improve on their time. And one thing I'm interested to know is Flyer on used tyres now. It'd be interesting to see if he's sat P3 and put on a fresh set of tyres, wasting a set. But we all know, as it looks, he's on 5-lap old tyres, so he's not realistically going to improve on this time with tyres that old, but it's Flyer. He can do anything as he just comes into the pits, so he's decided he's had enough of those. He wants rid.
Sometimes you just need new tires.
Sometimes you do, or sometimes you just need to set fast laps on really old tires just to sort of show off a bit.
Yeah, just to prove a point. And considering like Sonny was first and now he's down to 5th.
Yeah, he seems to be dropping down the order. Speaking of Aston Martin, we do have some information coming from the pit lane on Aston and Haas. Take it away, Craven.
Yeah, cheers, Charmander. Just got a glimpse into the call. It looks like the Aston and Haas boys are sitting together. They're teaming up, making like a mini project, and actually Macca's in there as well. So drivers between P2 and P6 are in call together. Great news for Charlie. He's had PC issues the last few weeks. So far, it looks like everything's okay. So I want to see how he really transitions into the race, how he puts his full power down. I only had a quick word with Aston Martin. I said, are you guys going to get a 1-2? Sonny said, yeah. Gaben said, yeah. That was all they needed to say. Back to you, Charmander.
Thank you very much. Interesting to see the confidence from the two Aston Martin drivers sat P4 and P5, thinking they're feeling very confident going into the race, but we'll have to see if they can put their money where their mouth is.
As we see, can't get cocky too yet.
Yeah, it's only Q1. You can't really be saying too confident as we've seen in Baku. Anything can happen, and you can just stick it in a wall, and you'll be looking like a bit of a tit.
Yeah, just a bit.
As we say that, it's getting towards the end of qualifying one now. We're expecting the drivers that are feeling a bit nervous about their position to start coming out, setting some more laps. As we see Shadow Hopper retire, I'm assuming that's in the pits. He's probably safe where he is. Drivers below him would have to gain about 1.5 seconds for him to drop out, so he's feeling quite confident. Interesting that Somther's come out on a hot lap. Either he's wanting to increase his gaps, put down a statement, or he might be looking to give his teammate Brandon a tow. So be interesting to see what comes of this. Monty comes around. Brandon about to finish his hot lap, I believe. Or start it from looking. He didn't improve if he did. So he might be going for another run if he has enough battery. So we swap over to Hodgson, currently sat in P12. The last week's race winner sat down in P12. He's not feeling as confident at this track by the looks of it. Either that or he's been hampered by traffic or some of the yellow flags we've been seeing. Interesting to see whether he can improve this time and start putting in statements that he is intending to go for Q3.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those where it seemed like quite a few drivers, when they'll talk about the track, I've heard like over the week, is like some being a fair bit like more like wary of the track because of the danger.
Yeah.
It exudes.
Yeah, it's from my experience, it's very much a Marmite sort of track. You either love it or you hate it. It's
perfect.
Yeah, some people really enjoy the challenging street circuit. Some also absolutely hate it. I know Glenn is one that is very vocal about how much he hates this track. So be interesting to see where he's. As that someone stopped just outside of ping pong.
Oh.
It is. It's Hodge, and he's span coming out of it, and he's doing a 84-point Austin Powers style turn.
Oh,
He'll
no.
have to make sure not to get in someone else's way. Ideally, he'll have someone from his team guiding him if anyone else is coming round. And I'm assuming he has wing damage after a spin like that. So, yeah, it looks like he does have front right end plate damage. So he'll be coming into the pits. That's the end of his qualifying as Impress decides to drive back to Austria for whatever reason coming out of that corner. That looked like a very interesting line. We'll have to see whether he can improve on it. Interesting to note that if he doesn't, he will be out of qualifying. As we see, the checkered flag comes out, so anyone who crosses the line now will finish where their lap time is. No new laps can be started, but anyone who is currently on a lap is allowed to finish it. We are currently looking at the bottom 4 drivers to get eliminated, which are currently sat Impress, as someone's just jumped out of the bottom 4. Apologies, I didn't see who that was. But currently sat of Envy, Impress, Monty, and Calypto in the bottom 4. With Impress in the pits, it means he's not going to be setting a faster lap time. As we see Monty coming around the final corners through ping pong, coming onto the really long straight. Now, you know whether you've set a good exit here, and you can either see tenths just falling away from you as you fall asleep trying to drive down the straight. As he comes straight into the pits, he's decided, nah, wasn't going any quicker anyway. And we follow Clipto coming around the final few corners, just entering Sector 3. Coming round the corner where Impress decided to drive back to Austria. Coming up to ping pong now. Can he keep it straight enough to not lose too much time coming out of it? As he comes all the way up to the DRS zone now. Quite a late DRS zone. Opens it, and now he's just going to fly his way down. Can he improve on his time? No, he can't. Oh, that's unfortunate. But he'll be looking forward to the race to be able to see what he can prove in the see whether he wants to be able to prove in his first race that he doesn't want to finish last.
Sometimes you just gotta try.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see what people can do in the race. We've lost the bottom 4 drivers. We just need to wait for them to come over to Q2. And this is where tyres are locked for the race. So if you finish inside the top 10 and make your way into qualifying 3, as we just see the finishing order here, Sompher laying down a statement on his first few laps. The bottom 4 eliminated are Envy, Impress, Monty, and Clipto.
Yeah, it's true. I guess it's like more expected with at least for Clipto being like new to the.
Yeah, so
New to
I
all
think
racing.
coming in, especially with the way the Ferrari project are, there's going to be no expectations for him. He's going to be, trying to just enjoy his experience as we make our way into Q2. As I was talking before, if you finish in the top 10 here in this qualifying session, the tyres you use to set that lap time will be the ones you start the race on. So people will usually be starting on the medium tyre if they can. Some may decide they want track position and choose to start on the softs. So it's going to be interesting to see if there are any upsets where people get too confident wanting to start on the mediums and they get knocked out by some soft runners. And we have some information on Red Bull. I'll throw it over to our man in the pit lane. Cradden, take it away.
Yeah, cheers, Charmander. Just had a chat with Red Bull. Obviously, they've had a really successful first qualifying session. They've got all 4 of their drivers, 2 Red Bulls and 2 Alpha Tauris. That's Hodge, Mancho, Miffy, Dormin, all into Q2. So great news for them. Hodge and Mancho had a few nervy moments towards the end. Hodge caused that big yellow flag, had to do the 87-point turn that you pointed out. Mancho obviously only with his final lap got through. Spoke to Mancho just now. He said this probably isn't one of his best tracks, but the fact that he was able to get Q2 out of it was great. Spoke to the AlphaTauri boys as well. Both Miffy and Dormin are happy with how they've been doing so far. They think they've got a little bit extra to push with. The other thing they're going to try and do is they're going to consider maybe starting for different tyres, one softs, one mediums, so that they can maybe switch up their strategies in the middle of the race. Back to you, Charmander.
Thank you very much for that information. Interesting strategy talk between the AlphaTauri boys, splitting between the mediums and softs. That'll throw a spanner in the works for some people during the race, so be interesting to see if that plays out for them. As we look, people are looking to set their first times in qualifying 2. Sonny wanting to start on the softs. He's decided that they are the race tyre that he wants. As we look up and down the grid, there are currently 6 drivers looking to start on the mediums of Brandon, Sompher, Miffy, Franklin, Flyer, and Carlos. Any other driver is choosing to start on the soft. So we've got a nice variance, and it'll be interesting to see who can make it work.
Like, just as like a personal question for me, I feel like it's one I might have asked back the first time I casted something like this. If they get a good time on a tyre and then swap and do a better one, would that mean that they'd then use the second set of tyres?
Exactly that. So if they it's whichever tyre is used
which ones
to
you set the time?
best lap.
Gotcha.
Any other times before that are sort of deleted and ignored. So
that was just like a brain blast move. Like, wait a second.
Yeah, quite often you'll see a lot of drivers start in the mediums in Q2, and if they decide, oh, I'm not going to make it through on the mediums, they'll then choose to just set their lap time on the softs later on in the session. So
nice.
There is that balancing act of wanting to start on a different tyre, but also, are you quick enough to make it through? So it'd be interesting to see who makes that choice, or who decides to swap. As we starting to see people coming around, we're starting to get some lap times as we see Flyer go first with a 1:40.1. Now that looks like a relatively okay lap time. I don't think it's going to stay for very long, especially with drivers like Gaben and Sonny out on the softs. As I say that, Sonny comes in, goes 1.1 seconds faster, and Gaben slots in just behind his teammates, 0.3 off pole. So the Aston Martin boys wanting that 1-2, currently sat there. As I say that, Maka comes and splits them, also on the soft tyres, right down the middle. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they're going to decide to do any more laps, or if they are like, right, no one's beating that, we'll come in now.
I'll just be curious to see where the other soft fellas lined in, because it seems from the times so far, it's showing a fair amount of difference.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of time difference from what we can see. I think the closest is obviously Miffy to Gaben, and that's still 0.7 off, which is, as we say that, Charlie comes around and sets the fastest lap of the session, 1:38.7, laying down a marker 0.3 quicker than Sonny on the same tyres. So Charlie out here really setting down a marker in this Q2 session.
He's plotted his flag down, his PC's working. It's cooperating for now.
Yeah, it'll be unfortunate we get to the next session and it just sort of explodes, but we'll have to see if that holds out, as Shadowhopper and Hodgson, the first soft runners to really set a lap time that are slower than the medium runners. They obviously are going to start feeling a bit sweaty after that. If they can't beat some of the medium runners on softs, they've got nowhere to go. really. So they're going to look to improve their lap times, maybe put on a fresh set of tyres and try and go quicker. You see Sonny comes in the pits. Interesting to see whether he comes out again or if he's just feeling confident to just sort of leave it as it is. Two drivers currently not set a lap time in Glenn and Dormin. Dormin looking like he's currently on a hot lap. Be interesting to see where he can put his car. As mentioned in the previous session, the bottom 5 drivers from this session will be eliminated. So P11 through to P15 will all get eliminated at the end of this session. But as we were talking about tyre choice before, they will be able to choose what tyres they start out on. So if you're in that sort of P10, P11 position, you might want to choose to start P11 instead of P10, but then you get choice of tyres. So be interesting to see if anyone makes that decision. We say that people have set their first lap times, have all come in the pits. Dormin's still out on track. I'm assuming gonna set his lap time sometime soon. Glenn still in the pits, having not set a lap time yet. He's obviously waiting for a bit of a cleaner track, as you don't want to be coming up to Castle section and someone's trying to like warm up their tires as you're going through it. It's like hitting rush hour on the M25. It's never going to be a pleasant feeling. Dormin comes in, goes P5.
Maybe Glenn's just sat in the pits, just like thinking of how many times he said he hates the track, and he's still there.
Yeah, it's also possible. It is a lot harder for him, trying to not only maneuver the car around the corners, but doing it while not hitting your nose on the wall. It's going to be interesting to see whether you can. Yeah, you're coming up to ping pong. Your nose has to turn before your car is even on the straight. So it's going to be interesting to see if you can make that work.
I'll have to do a gross score and get that boy shrunk down.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be a treat for him if his project decides, start getting some points. You get that constructor's money in. Be interesting to see, but where he decides to redistribute the funds going into the project team.
Maybe even set up a GoFundMe.
Yeah. We'll link that out there when we have official confirmation of the Glen nose shrinkage GoFundMe. As we see drivers sort of filtering out for their outlaps. We've got Dormin, I'm assuming, coming in as he's set a hot lap. His tyres are getting a bit old now. Interesting that Flyer, the only driver in the top 10 currently on the mediums, whether he feels being 7/10 off the drop zone is going to be enough. But we'll have to see how confident he's feeling going in. And we're going to head back down to the pit lane for some Mercedes and Ferrari info. Take it away, Cradden.
Cheers, Charmander. Happy as always to help. So yeah, had a chat with the Ferrari guys. Nice little contrast of confidence we're having. Glenn, obviously, because of a personal issue, hasn't set a lap time so far, but he's feeling fairly confident in the last few minutes here in Q2. Similarly, Franklin, also on the soft tyres, was so confident of his first lap in Q1 that he decided to leave voluntarily. So absolute swagger from Ferrari Project. Contrast that with Merc. Blaze was like 100% confident of a Merc win going into the weekend, but I've just talked to them. They've got 3 members left, Somtha, Blaze, and Carlos. They're pretty much dead set on having to use softs in order to get to the top 10 into Q3. So we'll see if Somtha makes that call or if he was just capping in chat. Back to you, Charmander.
Thank you very much. Interesting to say that they're pretty dead set on having to use the softs, and Brandon's decided to disregard that, chuck on a set of mediums while being in P13. So
You say both him and Somtha are on mediums, so
yeah, so
not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, currently Somtha's in the pit. He's got time to change it. It'll be a bit squeaky for Brandon to make it round, change onto softs, and come round again. So we'll have to see what happens. or whether Brandon's going to rue the mistake of getting a bit cocky and thinking he can get through on mediums when currently there is one driver in the top 10 on the mediums. So,
and it's Flyer, who is very, very good from previous records.
yeah, and he's currently sat P6, probably not particularly confident of the position as well. So it would be a choice to stay out on the mediums, and okay, he's not coming in. He sets P12, which
12.
obviously not where he wants to start. He's hoping he can get round, put on a set of mediums, but it's definitely squeaky bum time down at the Mercedes garage. Interestingly, on our end, we currently have some technical issues, so bear with us while we get that sorted. As there we go, we are back, so we can give you all the content. It's interesting that the top 9 currently sat in the pits. They're probably waiting for a better time to come out. You probably want to leave with about 2 minutes 10 left on the clock before coming out again. So it'll be interesting to see who's confident that they're going to get through. As we see drivers jumping around. There's now back up into P7 on the mediums. I think he's flicking between which tyres he wants to start on. So we'll have to see how this goes. It's always the sort of downtime where we're waiting for drivers to come out. As we get to that 2-minute lap time, it looks like the top 8 are all staying in the pits, so they need to start making their moves now, otherwise they're going to miss out. As it's 150, it looks like there's no movement down in the pit garage other than Somther and Shadow from the top 10 coming out. So everyone else feeling confident in their position. We'll have to see if that's going to be a big mistake or not.
I just wanted to say, as he has shown up on stream, it was a funny mention coming out, and both 13th and 14th are in fact Glenn and Brandon.
Ooh, the power couple of VLF1. God forbid we have them starting next to each other on the Baku grid. That'll, I mean, it'll give us some entertainment at the very least.
Yeah. Sometimes that's all you need is a bit of lap one chaos.
Yeah. So definitely we've got a minute left. Miffy, Flyer, Dorman, Salty, Maka, Sonny, and Charlie all deciding that lap time's enough. They're not coming out anymore. As people are coming around, starting to set their hot laps. Glenn just starting his hot lap now. Coming around turn 2. The first DRS zone. It's quite a short one, but is not a primary overtake, but is very nice to have during qualifying. That little DRS speed boost coming into a very difficult corner. Comes around turn 5 here. A lot of drivers can lose it on turn 5. That curb you see on the inside does have a habit of launching you into the nearest wall. We've seen that definitely during the race a couple of times. As we see, with 7 seconds left on the clock, there are currently 3 drivers on track in Hodgson, Glenn, and Carlos. So everyone else deciding they're not going to either they're not going to improve, or they're not going to think anyone else is going to improve. Because there are only 3 drivers that can improve their time, that means anyone Flyer and above will be safe. So we'll have to see as Glenn's coming round into the final section now, coming through ping pong. Try and make the car as fast as you can, take as little steering as you possibly can, and then the long straight down to the finish line. Let's see if Glenn makes it through Q2. Can he make it into Q3? Oh, he's coming into the pits.
Wait.
To not improve, that was a bit anticlimactic. Right.
Yeah.
see Hodge coming through ping pong now. Can he make it through to Q3? He's on the soft tires, looking to improve his lap time. He only needs to find about 300ths of a second. Can he do it? Coming through ping pong now, onto the long straight. Coming up to the DRS zone. As he has a bit of a spin coming out. I've genuinely no idea how he's done that. That's interesting as he comes into the pit. And Carlos is deciding to do a season 1 tour of the track for his final lap. So, bit of an anticlimactic end to qualifying 2. No drivers deciding to set a lap time. Carlos just sort of trundling his way across the finish line. And that'll do it for Q2. We lose Hodgson, Glenn, Mancho, Carlos, and Brandon. Interesting that both Red Bulls have been knocked out, which is unfortunate for them, being sort of shown up by their sister team in AlphaTauri. So, be interesting to see what the performance is like during the race. Interesting that Miffy, Somther, and Flyer all made it through on the medium tyres. So, that's the tyres they will be starting the race on.
How does that make you feel? The Red Bulls just dropping like flies.
Honestly, after watching that Hodgson last lap, I'm just confused more than anything. It was... I've seen people lose it on ping pong. I've seen them lose it coming out of ping pong. That's unusual. He somehow lost it on a straight. So...
You should play it risky next time you pressed one of what you turned.
Yeah, I think he's decided, he's just invented an entirely new corner for ping pong to go through. So that unfortunately cost him the chance, me to go through to Q3. So as we bring you Q3, the final shootout now, this is where you really put your money where your mouth is and set your fastest lap times. Be interesting to see who comes out first, as it looks like one of the Haas's and one of the AlphaTauris looking to set their lap times first and really put down the benchmark for the rest of the drivers to beat.
I believe in Flyer supremacy because he's just showed up, as was prophesized.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether Flyer still does his old trick of he used to do qualifying 1 and qualifying 2 on medium engine mixture and no ERS. Unfortunately, at the moment, you can't change your engine mixture in this, but you can change your ERS. As we have some information on a trio of Aston, Haas, and McLaren down at the pit wall. Take it away, Cradden.
Cheers, Charmander. Yeah, it was fun. I just asked what was happening. They were all in the same call: Aston, Haas, and McLaren. 5 drivers: Gaben, Sonny, Charlie, Flyer, and Maka. They were all just chilling, as I think Flyer put it. In the last few minutes of Q2, they didn't need to set a lap. They were all comfortably in the top 6 or top 7, and they were just waiting for the other drivers. They're all very fast. They know what they're doing. I spoke to Charlie, who was setting the fastest time, and I asked him if he was confident of getting pole in Q3, and he wasn't. To be honest, he was still very nervous about his computer, so I think he'll regard just starting and finishing the race as a success right now. The other one I wanted to note was Flyer. Of that group, I believe he's the only one on the medium tyre compound. I asked him about what sort of race strategy would be involved, whether he'd be doing something different to offset the fact he'd be on mediums compared to softs. He was very coy and just said, I'm going to do the opposite of whatever Hodgson's doing. Back to you, Charmander.
Thank you very much. The old Flyer response there of never giving away too much information. So, Flyer, don't know whether it's a language barrier. He'll always skirt around the question, never answer it. But that's also why we love him. So it's glad to see him back on the grid. And obviously, knowing Flyer, he's probably feeling quietly confident coming into this race. I believe it is a race he has won previously. Looking at my notes, he did in season 2, so he has experience on this track, and for me, he is probably the one to beat going into this qualifying session.
Yeah, I guess it feels like one of them where it's definitely like the more experienced drivers are just having a more relaxed time, but it's more being able to just get a time that you definitely know is going to be like comfortable to place on.
Now,
Whereas you might do a box and have a bit of a wobble at the end.
yeah, and sort of ruin the entire lap just as you get up to the end. Now,
At least
one
you get
thing I
crashing.
do want to give a shout out to is both Shadow and Franklin. They've not had the greatest start to the season. Obviously, varying different issues, but they've both made it through to Q3, which, especially given previous qualifying sessions, is a really pleasant surprise to see, and I hope they can keep it up for the race. As we see lap times start filtering in, Flyer setting the pole position with a 1:38.8. The next closest driver 5/10 off in Sompther. Be interesting to see what sort of lap times the other drivers are going to set. Sonny going quickest with another 2.5 tenths of a second, 1:38.594. Sonny really laying down a target for everyone else to beat. Now, as we see his teammate Salty, Gaben coming up to the line. Where can he put this car? Oh, never mind. He's just starting his hot lap. I got a bit bamboozled there and thought he was on his hot lap. That's my mistake.
It happens
As we
sometimes.
see-
They just look like they're vrooming, but they're just vrooming.
Yeah, as we see Charlie setting a lap time exactly 1/10 off Sonny, so he's looking like the closest competitor right now, and it'll be interesting to see whether that's going to hold come the end of qualifying.
Well, it just seems like Haas is like one of the better shots as like a team to try dethrone Sonny of his times.
Yeah, it's interesting how if Fly's internet can hold up and Charlie's computer, whether if they can hold up, they really can be a threat to this Aston Martin squad. So, be interesting to see whether they can keep up any amount of consistency as the season goes on. But right now, we're focusing on just this race, and they are taking it to Aston Martin. As we see Gaben looking to set his first hot lap. Coming into this, they were expecting a 1-2, so it'll be interesting to see whether Gaben can match his teammates' time and put his car on that front row. Coming into the DRS straight, it sounds like he's lifted off, so probably coming into the pits here. Yeah, as he just comes across the pit line now. He might have looked to give his teammate a tow in the first bit of qualifying. But yeah, we'll have to see where his actual lap time is. Obviously, not setting an official lap time now. As it's getting to that point in Q3 where all the drivers have now pitted, it's sort of the calm before the storm of everyone deciding any last minute tunings to the setup, any front wing angle they need. Before they make their final runs for the end of Q3. Be interesting to see if anyone decides to come out a bit early, wants to sort of set a time on a clean track rather than risk getting caught up in traffic. So we'll have to see. But overall, it's been a bit of a quiet qualifying. No real great spontaneous crashes that we've seen. So, unfortunately for us, as we see both Aston Martins, both AlphaTauris coming out, wing to nose, following out each other. This looks like they are planning to do a tow, in my opinion, but we'll have to see whether they stay this close to each other when their flying laps start. As we see two other drivers in Gaben and Franklin come out. looks like for Franklin doesn't have another teammate he can tow off. It looks like there's going to be no towing from Gaben for Sonny unless there's some sort of shenanigans going later on. So we shall see as to what happens later into this qualifying session. This is always the bit of qualifying I hated doing as a driver. It's it's never the most fun because you don't want to go out too early and catch the traffic that might be setting up their laps when you're on your hot lap, but you also don't want to come out too late and miss the checkered flag completely. So it's about finding that balance, and we'll have to see which drivers manage to get that sweet spot. As we see Gaben coming around to start his hot lap, coming up to ping pong now. Getting a good exit here is really important because you lose a lot of speed going down all of this straight. And you can feel it if you've had a bad exit where you're just losing time all the way down. See Gaben coming up to turn 1 as we jump away to Dorman, who is on his hot lap. Coming around to turn 5 now, I believe this is. Ignores that curb on the right hand side. It's a very smart move as it can launch you into the corner. These curbs are a lot flatter. You can sort of mount those a bit more as Dorman decides to stay away from them, being a bit more cautious on his final flying lap, believing he can improve. Coming up to the very difficult castle section, just keeps it out of the wall. He was very close there. Takes as much track as he dares to coming out of that section. Coming down now into Sector 3, the self-named esports corner. How much is he going to cut? Not at all. Cuts off a lot of speed going into that corner. Round one of the final corners now, coming up towards the ping pong section. Now, let's see if he keeps his foot flat down through this. He does indeed. No wobbles. And now it's just a straight run down to the finish line. Let's see where Dorman sets his final lap time.
So,
Coming
like,
up to the
seeing it in
finish
like
line.
this, the POV, I guess. It's always terrifying when they get close to the walls.
Yeah, it definitely is. As we see both AlphaTauris setting P3 and P5 laps respectively. That is very impressive from them, splitting the Hasses. We were just praising at the start of the session for potentially taking down the Astons. So we see Gaben setting his one and only lap time, and it's only P5. I think Gaben's going to be disappointed with that lap time. He was hoping to lock out the front row with his teammate Sonny, locking out P1 and P2, but only P5. He's going to be slightly disappointed in himself for that. So we see Flyer on his hot lap, coming down the end of Sector 1 here, coming up to the start of the very technical part of the track. Lots of 90-degree corners. Gaben keeps well out of his way. Very nicely done there by Gaben. Flyer locking up very slightly going into that corner. Probably losing a slight amount of time there as he cuts quite a lot of that corner, but that looked just legal to me. Coming up to Castle section. Oh, and he just hits it. Loses his car, and that's going to be his lap time ruined. Castle has claimed it wasn't a complete DNF, but it's definitely its first victim and a warning to the rest of the drivers that it definitely can ruin your lap time. As we see something coming through this same section, avoids contact, passing Gaben there on the inside. Coming down through to esports corner. How much of it is he going to cut? Tiny amount. Carries a lot into the exit of the corner. coming round one of the final corners, coming up to Ping Pong right now. Can he hitch a bit of a toe off Flyer here? It looks like no. Flyer's decided to piss off into the wind. So Somtha's left on his own to see where he can put his car. Where's he going to set it? As we see Charlie goes fastest by 0.5 of a second, and Somtha puts it P3. Sonny getting a toe off Gaben. Only sets it P2, 0.2 off exactly for Charlie. Charlie really putting down a marker as Maka puts it P3. And that is our final grid. Everybody has set their final lap time, and that is a very interesting end to the session. Charlie on pole. The cockiness of the Aston Martins predicting a 1-2. Only coming out with a 2-7. Not really what they wanted, and it's going to throw to an interesting race.
I feel like the real ping pong was watching the top 3 switch in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, definitely. And now with that, I'm going to let you run back down to the desk, and I'm going to throw it back to back to Cradden on the desk.
Oh, yeah, head start.
Yeah, good luck and enjoy the exercise. But yeah, take it away, Cradden.
Cheers, Charmander. And hang on, just someone coming down the stairs. A bit out of breath, and
Well,
go for it. There we go. Hi there, Pushka.
Why do I have to keep running? Help.
I also don't know why you've just come down the stairs from the racetrack to a desk, but we don't ask these questions here in VLF1. We ask questions like, why did Brandon stay on the medium tire in Q2 when he was really slow?
Funny.
Yeah, boy, it was brilliant. So, yeah, any immediate thoughts from coming back from that qualifying session in Baku, that most punishing of circuits?
I'm very happy that my boy Ramsey has done well. And yeah, it seems the Haas are doing pretty solid, but Maka just appearing out of nowhere for top 3 was pretty nice. So it's just been a good spicy one.
In terms of, there isn't a driver of the day for qualifying, but I really love the way that the Alpha Tauris were handling Q3. Like Miffy and Dorman, by getting through to Q3, they'd already outperformed their senior team colleagues in Hodgson and Mancho. Hodgson, the most recent race winner, of course, you can't underestimate him.
Yeah.
They got into Q3, and then it was one of several toes, which I'm going to talk about later, but Miffy and Dorman just really showed a lot of maturity. Showing much more maturity than their various rookie experiences would suggest. And yeah, they perform really well. Miffy got a time that was within 1/10 of being in P3, so absolutely beautiful for him. Yeah, what do you think is the biggest factor for Miffy there? Do you think he's just no life the game, or
I think he's just a god gamer.
Absolutely.
That's all that needs to be said.
He puts on his gaming face, and then everything else is sorted. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Miffy was really impressive, but the one big takeaway, I asked Charlie after Q2, is he going to get pole position? He wasn't even sure if he was going to be connecting to Q3. Didn't really fancy himself against Sonny, but absolutely pogged it. Came home with the pole position. And it's worth saying that pole position in Baku, only the greatest 4 drivers of all time, Flyer, Calm, Trev, and Sonny, have got pole previously. Charlie adds himself to that list. How are you feeling about Charlie after that one? Is he the real deal? Can he win?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's shown himself, and it seemed like a lot of the setback was down to connection and/or game issues. So, with that sorted, I feel like hopefully he'll be able to have a race he's happy with. We're actually being able to finish it.
Yeah, it would be fantastic if we could get him through, get him some solid points. Obviously, his PC issues have been a big part of the reason that Haas as a team have underperformed. Looking at the project standings, Haas have only 15 points, whereas Project Red Bull are already on 72 and going far into the distance. So, yeah, Zydox needs to get back on the horse, but if he can do stuff like that, he certainly will be picking up points today.
Yeah.
Maybe big ones. Looking at toes then. So something Travis might do in his spare time. Haas and Aston Martin, they're probably most people's top 2 constructors. So Flyer was with Charlie, Gaben was with Sonny. We actually saw both of those lead drivers, Charlie and Sonny, getting absolutely disgusting toes from their partner drivers on that back straight. Both of the fastest laps in the session were half a second clear of anyone else, and were just at the end with fresh tyres, with maximum track evolution, with disgusting aerodynamic properties. How important would you say teammate diff is off that one? Do you reckon the toe was really important, or were those two drivers just built different anyway?
I think it's just generally how being built different. That's all I can think of. I saw TikTok signs on people's cars, so you just got to be built different.
That's the one. We'll be seeing what TikTok dances come out from our eventual race winner, of course. But yeah, 138.0, fantastic work from Charlie. 2/10 clear of Sonny. I can't see the grid as it stands, but I think we'll be dealing with that one on track anyway. Of the top few drivers, I think Flyer is the one to start on the medium tires, so may have a bit of an advantage when it comes to strategies. So if we quickly run through what we know of the grid, we've got Charlie and Sonny at the front row, Maka, Somtha, Miffy, Flyer making up the next two rows. Gabe and Dorman, Shadow, and Franklin are going to complete that Q3 board. So we're going to be completing the first half of the grid. Looking at Q2, Hodge, Glenn, Mancho, Carlos, and Blaze. A lot of senior drivers there, both senior Red Bulls, are going to be making up 11 through 15. And then our drivers from the end of Q1, that's Envy, Impress, Monty, and our new boy Klepto, are going to be settling in at the back as we go for our race. So yeah, it's one of those things where we've already had a battle to get to the fastest lap. We've now got the prospect of a turn one fight in Baku where everyone has to hit the brakes at the right time. I know we've done predictions already, but is there anyone who you can see just absolutely spinning it into turn one? One of the Williams boys, or maybe one of the Alpine boys at the very back?
I just think it could happen to anyone.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's so much that could happen in Baku.
It's hard to pick just one person to spin.
It's a track that sort of collects everyone very easily. We've got a lot of potential flashpoints, shall we say. One thing I was really impressed with is the guys in the big call. So with both Aston Martin drivers, both Haas drivers, and Maka from McLaren. That's the call I see as the front runners, with a couple of outsiders like Somtha maybe showing their heads. The five of them are just in call together. They're not. I was in there for about a minute and a half. None of them were really throwing strats at each other. They were just like robots, just pumping out ridiculously fast times.
I'll say if I find that it seemed like they're at least like Sonny and the Haas, I guess Zydox mostly, but Flyer as well, that they're all like fighting for like the top, but they're all just chilling in the same call. That's fun. I like that.
Yeah,
it's a sign of friendship.
I think it's like a really cool in VLF one as well, because when we've had people in separate discords or like different calls elsewhere, it creates a really acrimonious, like really rival atmosphere. But then when everyone's in the same call, it's like, oh, I hit you there. It might be. Oh, sorry, that's okay. I really prefer that personally, because these sorts of things are going to happen, especially when you get to Baku. One thing that I'm going to pick up, we're maybe seeing it on stream with the tire strategies now. If we look at our top 10, from Charlie in P1 down to Franklin in P10, worth saying that Sonny has a 3-grid penalty that will be serving. So he starts in P5 rather than the P2 he qualified in. There are 3 drivers in that top 10 with medium tyres equipped. They are Somtha, Miffy, and Flyer, although we might be getting those changed as part of setup. I think they qualified in Q2 on the mediums. In terms of anyone with a medium tyre, they're going to be slower at the start, but they might be able to just stick with the pack while everyone just gets used to the first few laps of Baku. If you were driving this race, would you want to aggressively get past everyone, or would you sort of want to, I'll say Bing Chilala, because we both use that term quite regularly.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not good at driving video games and all that business. I'd Bing Chilala.
Yeah, give us Genshin any day. We'll get the Genshin stream going anytime soon. But yeah,
It was like I'm not like one of these competitive drivers. I like Forza, where I can just play Horizon 5 and just drive around in the countryside.
I mean, some of our drivers ended up in the countryside last week, but Yeah, we take those. It's also worth saying you might not be a competitive driver, but as soon as you see Natsk Blaze Homewrecker with a blue car in front of you, that's when
Bah.
the red mist comes down. That's when you hear the
Yeah.
jungle drums. It's when you
The
feel
fog is coming.
the certain fury of the certain thing. So yeah, there are a lot of potential flashpoints coming in the race. The other things I was going to talk about, a couple of the guys lower down the grid. I spoke to the Red Bull guys. Mancho really wasn't feeling it. It wasn't one of his tracks. Hodge, obviously having the 84-point turn in the last part of the track, wasn't feeling it as well. Do you rate them in sort of getting back from the back of the grid, heading towards the front?
I feel like with this track, at least compared to how people seem like relatively like in good spirits, it feels that Baku is one that's not too good for some people, but like just in general, like as Charmander had said on the cast whilst in qualifiers, it's a Marmite track where you love it or you hate it, and I think that one's definitely showing. But I'm sure if like go safe enough at the start, I might be able to at least pull through for some points. Because why not? Just don't crash, lol.
Don't crash, lol. It's so much easier said than done on this track. The castle section, which you've now had a really nice feel for. We've seen a few drivers have a few spins or a couple of incidents on the way up to castle section. We actually saw, I think it was Shadowhopper in Q1, just having a few bits of readjustment at the top of castle. Hodge already having the 3-point in ping pong. So we've got a couple of opportunities for collisions. Let's look further down the grid as well. We had the two Williams drivers, so Carlos dipping in Q2, Impress leaving even earlier in Q1. So I think maybe they wanted to go watch the England game or something. Let's just use a generous comparison and say they've had time to set up the strategies for their senior teammates.
Well.
Yeah.
Bing bong.
Bing bong indeed. The beauty of having projects like Williams and Mercedes is even when you don't have an external engineer like Fabs in Ferrari, you can still come along and impart wisdom, by which I mean flame your teammates as they go in the remaining session.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's the fun.
Yeah, we've got all sorts coming along. Apologies for the delay, guys. We're still trying to sort out a couple of technical issues, which caused a bit of power pointing during qualifying. We'll be on with the race soon as we sort of get our drivers ready, taking a couple of drink breaks and start to set up their final technical preparations. The nice weather in the background, incidentally. At the moment, it's looking like dry weather at the start of the race. The only time we've seen one wet race in Azerbaijan was in season 2. At the time, it was won by Flyer, and he picked up a reputation then and in the rest of the season as being someone who was really good with wet circuits, just excellent in the rain. And let me tell you that doing ping pong is difficult enough in dry conditions. It's even more difficult when you've got a few splashes on the circuit.
Chaos.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can certainly get a few spinalas. We've got a couple more minutes until the start of the race. Let's take a look at the top of the grid again with qualifying 3 just finishing. The last word I probably want to get from you, Pushka, is just on Miffy. Can you give us an insight onto what he might try and do at the start of the race to get ahead of him, having been moved up into P4 because of Sonny's penalty?
Not die on the first turn.
Not die on the first turn is certainly a good move. Okay, and with that, it's been enough talk. It's been enough analysis of qualifying. Let's see our drivers get ready for the 26 grueling laps of the punishing Baku city circuit on this glorious sunlit day here in Azerbaijan. I'm going to ask Pushka to rapidly sprint out of the room, give him a few seconds head start as we hand over to Charmander and Pushka, our commentary race team, for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Thank you very much, Cadden. I will now fill some time for my colleague to sprint down the stairs once again. Very exercise-filled afternoon for him. as I
God.
hear him just coming through the door now. How are you doing, Pushka?
I feel like I've moved around more than some of the cars I've moved on this track, but we'll survive.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. As we go straight to the grid, we have the formation lap. Drivers get their tires in peak working order, nice and toasty as possible. As noticed, we do have a penalty for Sonny moving him back down the grid a bit. So, what the order you can see on the screen now is the order they will start the race in. It's interesting that pole position starts on the right-hand side of the track, but it is a very, very short run down to turn one. And it's going to be interesting to see if anyone's going to look to make any moves and if any of those moves stick. It's going to be a bit of a long formation lap. It's a very long lap and they're taking it very slowly. So we'll have to see who gets the start of their dream, shall we say.
I'm just wondering who's going to crash first.
Yeah, I think that's the question everyone's asking, really. It's, I'm hoping for some carnage turn one. Maybe a bit of a pile up, but we'll see how it happens, whether the drivers are going to just sort of back out and just sort of cruise their way through lap one. If so, we can still make fun of them just by calling them cowards. So
Yeah. It's a win-win for us.
yeah, it sounds good to me. They are final of the cars start coming around Castle now. That's about half the track done. I wasn't lying when I said it's a very long formation lap. So it's going to be interesting to see outside of the top 10 who started on what tyres as well. But we'll see that'll unfold later into the race. As we see, we're about to get some tyres. And we see Brandon starting on the hards.
Ooh. Ooh. That's...
Alrighty then. So anyway, moving on to the grid start, I think we'll just move away from that tyre that is, I think it was 9/10 slower than the mediums per lap. So, yeah, okay.
It's hard to avoid it. He's holding up like 3 other cars.
Yeah, I mean, having to start ghost through, the tyre's even slower on the formation lap.
Oh no.
As we see drivers pulling up on the grid for the start of the race. Final cars filtering in. And we start the countdown once all the drivers have lined up.
Oh.
Or do we? Codemasters? Oh, here we go. 3, 2, 5 lights.
Oh.
And I think that was a jump start, and away we go.
Also, someone's had a bit of a shake at this.
Oh, Charlie, we have Macca. Oh, there is a pile up on turn one. Oh, no. Macca's got caught up in turn one, and there has been contact with at least 5-6 other drivers there.
Holy.
And there's someone turned on turn four. That looks like it's Clipto to me. He has damage to his car. He's going the wrong way. That's going to be interesting to see. No safety car as of yet. Sonny's moved up because of those incidents into P4. We've got Miffy in P3. Charlie having a great start, keeping his P1. Somther inheriting that P2, and we're having some fighting between the two Ferraris here. Be interested. Looks like there's no clear team orders going on there. They're really going at it for each other.
How are the hard tyres looking?
So, checks notes. Despite several drivers spinning, Brandon is the same place. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that folds out during the race, but he is almost a second off the driver in front on the first lap. So we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting to see if any other driver picked up any damage from that first incident, as we see Miffy's dropping back from Sontha already out of that DRS zone, but Sontha keeping Charlie honest, as we see Shadow coming up behind Impress. Is he going to look to make a move? Has a lot of speed coming out of Ping Pong. Is he going to make the move stick before turn 1? And is Impress going to look to defend it by outbraking me? Look, coming into turn 1, Impress backs out of it, lets Shadow take the position. Is Impress going to just try and get the DRS toe for the rest of the laps? So you see the rest of the cars filtering through turn 1. Envy and Maka both in the pits. Interesting, Calypto probably going to pit once he makes it round to the pits. Envy and Maka deciding to pit onto fresh medium tyres. Yeah, that was definitely an interesting lap 1. We didn't get a full pile-up, but we got something which was at least interesting to see.
There was chaos, but no death, so that's good.
Yeah, I think as we see a yellow flag in Sector 1, as Envy has decided to just not brake. That was interesting. So we'll have to see how the rest of the race pans out. As we see, Franklin has span it outside, coming out of, and he's driving on the pit. Oh no! That was
God.
Questionable, as we see Franklin just beelining straight across the race line as drivers were coming around the corner. Be interested to see what the stewards make of that after the race. That looked a bit, as the Zoomers would say, hella sus. As we see Charlie setting another fastest lap, something keeping him honest. Going into that lap 3, DRS is now enabled. This is where we start to see some of the moves really happen. So we see Sonny having a bit of a look up the inside of Miffy there, but this is where he's got DRS now. Is he going to make a move by the end of this straight? Let's have a look. He's gaining. He's going for the send. Is it going to stick? No, he has to back out just coming out the corner. There wasn't enough space, unfortunately. So Sonny's now going to be stuck behind for the rest of the lap now. There aren't really any other overtaking opportunities for the rest of the lap until you hit that really long straight. So Sonny has to make his move and make it stick, especially when he wants to start challenging the likes of Sontha and Charlie for that P1 position. The longer he gets stuck behind Miffy, the more it ruins his race, especially because there is a tyre differential between Miffy and Sonny. Miffy starting on the mediums, Sonny starting on the softs. That's one thing we really don't want, Sonny really doesn't want to see, is to get stuck behind Miffy.
It always feels like it must be like awkward not being able to make the overtake stick and then having to just sit there behind them until you can do it again.
Yeah, it's always
like race.
Yeah, it's always the worst feeling. You feel like as something looks like he's going to make a move on Charlie. He will have the DRS entering the zone now, and the move was pretty much almost done before they even hit the DRS. As we got a VSC, as we see Dormin dropping down the field. I'm guessing that's an incident to do with Dormin. As we see, he lost it at ping pong. He lost his full front wing from what I can see. We see Shadow in the pits under the VSC looking to get that nice cheap pit stop. See if anyone else makes advantage of this VSC. As we see a couple of drivers coming in, we see Impress. Wait. What? As we see a full safety car come out now, anyone who's in the pits is going to be loving this as a free pit stop. It looks like it's a rear puncture for Impress, which is going to slow Dormin down so much. The AI takes you so slow for punctures going down the pit lane, and anyone behind you just has to sit there and suffer. Going down as we've got a load of wing changes going on. Going to be Pardon me. Going to be interesting to see if we have anyone more coming in the pits. And we have a weather update coming from the pit lane. Cradden, take it away.
Cheers, Charmander. Okay, so this was from one of the lead drivers, Jeff's, from the start of the race. Blaze came in and said that his Jeff advised him to go onto the dry tyres, but that the weather was uncertain, which is a phrase that doesn't normally come in when you've got a full dry race. Despite that, Blaze then picked the hard tyre, so that's an interesting decision. When you know the weather's uncertain, you don't pick the compound that you have to rely on for the longest time. So an interesting bit of analysis there. The key one now is we've got a safety car. So because of the VSC and then the full safety car incidents, including Impress's puncture, Spinola, I think we had Dormin with a spin on the last ping pong section as well. Everyone can get essentially a free pit stop because everyone's going slowly around the track. With 22 laps to go, 3 of them under safety car, 19 full racing laps is about the race distance for hard tyres. So a switch onto hards may get drivers through the full remaining race distance. Back to you, Charmander.
Thank you very much. As we see, anyone who was on the softs has decided to get rid of those now. A lot of them choosing to put on a fresh set of mediums. As we see some racing coming out of the pit lane, that looks like, between Charlie and Macho. No overtaking allowed under a safety car, so it's probably just a bit of jockeying for position coming out of the pit lane. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to affect strategy, especially with a lot of drivers going on to the medium tyres. The medium tyres, as Cradden insinuated with his talk about the hards, the medium tyres won't last to the end of the race here. If you're currently on the medium tyres and you started the race on them, you're loving this. If you're something, you're Miffy, you're Glenn, this is free position gang for you, because you know that any other medium tyre behind you also has to pit again at the same time as you. So this is the net positions at the moment. It's all been neutralised by the safety car, and it's going to be interesting to see who's able to recover a race from changeable conditions.
At least now it's just a lot of on the tires.
Yeah, it's
hard option.
Yeah, it's just at the moment. So obviously we've got Bisto adverts, just Bisto coming out.
Not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored. But it's going to neutralize a lot of this race. I think drivers like Maka and Clipto are going to be so thankful for this. As long as they've not been lapped, which I don't believe they have, as it's not saying +1 lap, this will allow them to catch up to the rest of the grid. So obviously Maka being 1 minute 50 behind the rest of the grid, if this was normal racing conditions, he'd be completely out of it. Now he's able to catch up to the rest of the field, and he actually has a chance of making points again now, which, given that turn 1 incident, he'll be very, very thankful for.
Yeah. After that, I'd have expected to just no points bun this race. But bless up safety car. Calder.
Yeah, as we know in Baku, anything can happen. Safety car, we could end up having a safety car every other lap. So we'll have to see.
Another safety car?
Yes. Oh, surprise Pikachu. Surprise safety car at Baku. Speaking of Pikachu, how's your Pokemon been going? I saw you caught a shiny Sprigatito.
Sprigatito spaghetti.
There's going with the WeCat, and we just had some Merc info coming in from the pit lane. Cradon, what have you got for us?
Cheers, Charmander. No weed cats down here. We have some shiny front wings, though. We've got Impress, obviously, leading that safety car out. He had 2 punctured tyres, front left and rear left, and also a broken wing. So he is in the lap of several gods right now, and that he's still in the race. Carlos and Flyer, incidentally, had an issue as Flyer left the pits. Carlos was on track. I spoke to Carlos, who felt that Flyer unfairly went onto his side of the track, and Carlos had a little bit of wing damage right now. So we'll see if he makes an extra pit stop. They've had their challenges. Blaze, however, is up into P8, so that's good news for him. Somtha is in the lead, so Merkwin looking good. Back to you, Charmander.
Thank you very much. It's, as it currently stands, we are looking at what would be an upset win. I don't think many people called a Somtha win, but the current podium position being Somtha, Miffy, and Glenn, I don't think anyone called that going into the race. So
I did
yeah, it's
not
going to be
expect to see Glenn
interesting.
there.
Yeah, it's, I mean, to be fair, he could also be about P7 or actually on track. Just obviously that nose extension pushing him up into that podium position.
I don't know why I expected anything else joke-wise. It's a good one. It works.
Yeah, it's reusable content, shall we say.
He is the safety car.
So he's the one I need to beat up for taking me out of so many races. As we see, I'm assuming this is going to be the last full lap of the safety car coming down the pit straight now. It's been out for a long time. It usually allows all the drivers to catch up. And from what I can see, Macca's at the back of the grid now. So all the cars now caught up on the grid. So I'm hoping this will be the last lap of the safety car and we'll get a nice quick restart. But with Cody's running the show, anything could happen.
I've heard legends.
Yeah, I mean, knowing Cody's, the safety car might never end. So we'll have to see if it's a bit of a procession going to the end. We shall see. But the longer this safety car lasts, the better it is for the drivers such as Somtha, Miffy, Glenn, those looking to extend these medium tyres, maybe push onto a medium soft one stop. We'll have to see how this race turns out. Coming around into the... Go on, sorry.
It's just nice seeing the safety car. I forgot what it looked like after last time.
Yeah, it's... It has been a while, and it's good to have it back. But
Yeah.
it can fuck off now. Like, get back in the pits. We want some actual racing.
But
crawling through Castle.
Yeah, it's so weird now seeing everyone go through it like relatively slowly.
Yeah, it's
this is how I'd race.
Yeah, I mean, these cars still doing, over 100 miles an hour going around some of these corners, it's still really quick, but on board, it just looks like you're going, so like you could walk quicker than this for some of these corners, so yeah.
I've had to between the desk and here, so
yeah,
it's,
oh, safety car in this lap. Thank the Lords. We'll see how Somtha controls this restart. It's an interesting restart at Baku. Obviously, you've got a very long straight. You don't want to go too early, otherwise the cars behind you are just going to be queuing up to pass you as you've got no one to get the slipstream from. So as he backs the pack up away from the safety car so he can control the restart. We'll have to see what's going to happen, when he's going to choose to go. Obviously, Somtha has done one or two, as we see Monty pick up a 5-second penalty for a collision with Flyer under the safety car. I'm guessing he ran into the back of him. We'll see.
Foolishness.
As it looks like Somtha's gone. He's released the rest of the pack as all looking to make a move, going to Monty staying behind. Looks like no other positions are being traded, but battles are definitely being had under this restart. Interesting to note that the DRS does not activate until the third lap after the safety car, so any overtakes must be on pure pace. As we see Charlie overtaking Glenn, is he going to make it stick? Yes, he's ahead going into the corner. Glenn is now out of the podium positions. As we've seen Franklin overtaking Hodgson for P13. We see Sonny also overtaking Mancho for P5. We're having a couple of changes of places in unusual places for this restart. And it looks like it's all going to settle down a bit now. barring any mistakes from any other drivers. Now that we've got that restart underway, we have some weather info coupled with some Alpine info. Credon, what have you got?
Yeah, cheers, Charmander. Obviously, a chaotic restart. Back to you, because it looks like we've got some chaos on Castle.
We've got a big pile up in Castle. It's looking like the M25 at rush hour. No one is moving. Unsure as to what happened there, but it looks like Glenn's dropping down the order. So it looks like might have been an issue with Glenn causing an issue at Castle. That was very unfortunate. From what I can see, no major positions traded. It just looked like a very stop as we see what I think was Brandon hit the wall coming out of esports corner there. Gonna put him in a very bad position coming into ping pong. Franklin looking up the inside of him. Is he gonna make this move stick? Brandon dropping down the order as we see Shadow looking to overtake Mancho, and he makes it stick going into turn 1. We see Envy overtaking Hodgson falling down the order from where he was. We see Gaben taking that position back. Or no, Mancho's falling down even further. Has there been a mistake from Mancho? Looks like it might have been. He's falling down the order quite quickly.
Lots of placement changes.
Yeah, we're having lots of placement changes. Unfortunately, unsure as what's to happen here. We've got 3 wide going into a corner. Hodgson making that move stick. Interesting battling we've got going on here. This is some great racing, some real wheel-to-wheel stuff going on. So we see Impress and Hodgson going wheel-to-wheel into this next corner. Who's going to take it? As we see Hodgson keeping that move, Impress deciding to back out. That wasn't the place for him. As we see some contact between Envy and Maka. Don't think that would have caused any damage, but interesting to know how close these drivers are getting as Maka touches the wall, back and steps out. Oh my god.
Oh god.
Drivers are all over the place. What's happening? Drivers have forgotten the basic rules of keep car pointing forward.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just forget, you know? You get the number going up on your dashboard and you think this is going well, and then, uh-oh, wall.
Yeah, oopsies, wall. Anyway, we'll throw it back down to the pits for that information, as it looks like Charlie's going to make this move stick on something with DRS. Right, what have you got for us, Cadden?
Cheers, Charmander, as we get into DRS. Yeah, that was crazy, those last few laps. We did actually see people going 4 wide on the home straight. You love to see it, although people's front wings will not. Just had a quick chat with Alpine, Monty, and Shadowhopper. They're still very resilient, obviously a very stable team. They've suffered worse hardship than this. Shadow being really ecstatic at getting into Q3, and they noticed the lap 1, turn 1 incident with Maka. I'm going to prematurely hand it back to you as we've got a VSC.
Yeah, we've got a VSC that's might be caused as Hodgson gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Oh,
yeah, well done,
Hodgson.
Hodge. Fantastic. Wonderful. Yeah, so we got a VSC, unsure as to what caused that. Hodgson choosing to go on the mediums, a couple of people looking as this for their free cheap pit stop. It's not as free as a full safety car, but it saves you probably around 10 seconds. I would guess the mediums from now probably could last to the end of the race. It would be a stretch, but it's going to be interesting to see how this affects the rest of the strategy. So, unsure as to what caused it. Looking at Mancho being in the pits, I would assume it was something to do with him. Maybe losing some wing on ping pong or something. We'll have to see.
So it seemed a bit stranger. It seemed Klepto has softs on now.
Yeah, it does. They're not going to last to the end, but it definitely might help him gain some positions. So we'll have to see what... As Envy gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the pit lane. Could people not... Okay, the brake pedal's the one on the left, guys. It's
just don't speed.
As we see the VSC restarting, a couple of drivers being close to each other. It's going to be interesting to see if any moves are being made. Somther is gaining on Charlie as he drops back just a bit. No real moves being made by the looks of it, so I'm going to quickly hand... Oh, as we say, as Miffy hits a wall and Sonny inherits P3 from that, and he takes out Miffy. Trying to turned back in too quickly, and it looks like he's crunched Miffy into the wall.
I can't believe he did my boy like
A
that.
lot of damage from Miffy. It's gonna see if he can recover from this. As of yet, no safety car. Currently, yellow flags and no overtaking allowed under this portion of the track. Safety car, and we are back to green flags. I'm unsure as to what happened there, but we'll have to see. So what? Hopefully, I don't want to curse it. I'm gonna hand it back to Dan, as Miffy is going to lose a couple of places due to this wing damage. But yeah, take it away, Dan.
Yeah, never a dull moment, Alex. Maka also getting a puncture, and Envy also not finding where to turn to us, but we look elsewhere for a moment. Weather update. A couple of the Alpine boys said that there were no inclement weather conditions expected. Looks like a dry race for now, and I want to back up that thing that you were saying with the VSC. With 16 laps to go, switching onto mediums for a final stint does look like a move, but most of our grid are already on worn mediums with at least 5 laps of wear and tear already. So a later switch onto softs might be the move. Back to you, Charmander.
Thank you. As we see, Impress took a load of damage coming through Castle section. He hit the wall pretty hard, lost a lot of his wing. Gonna have to look to come in, get that fixed. Gaben obviously making the most of this. Trying to make his positions as much as he can. As we see more drive-through penalties for speeding under the safety car, as we have a full safety car.
Second one. How? Oh.
As Maka has retired from the session, I'm unsure as to what happened there. As we got another 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. People, use your brakes, please.
This is a public service announcement. The brake button is available at all times.
What? I'm gonna, as we got a safety car and just a slew of penalties, people can't drive. I'm gonna hand it back to Dan, who has some info on the safety car for us.
Yeah, reigning over a world of chaos here, Charmander. We're just commenting on the just crazy random events. That second safety car, second one of the session, looks like there may be more as well, based on the indiscipline of the grid. That was caused by Maka. He picked up a puncture in Sector 1. Obviously, a punctured tyre means that you have almost no traction, no control over your steering, and he was slow on a few later sectors, causing a pile-up condition in Castle section. I believe then holding up the 2 drivers behind him, Blaze and I want to say Envy, one of the Alfa Romeos. So as a result, Cody's AI has triggered the safety car. We're seeing all the pits, and as you point out, Alex, all of the indiscipline, all of the drive-through penalties, all of the 5-second penalties as well. Charmander, back to you.
Thank you very much. It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes up the rest of the grid in terms of pit strategy. Obviously, those who started on the medium tyre now can't go for another set of mediums till the end. You have to use at least 2 different compounds of tyre. So we see the both leaders in Charlie and Somther pit. It's going to be interesting to see what tyres they go on. I believe Charlie started on the soft, so he could go for another set of mediums, as it looks like Somther's gone for another set of mediums. So it's going to be interesting. He's looking like he wants to... Oh, is that hard from what I can see? No,
yeah,
I apologize. That's another drive-through penalty. I don't know what to say anymore. It's...
You have to get a picture of everyone with a brake pedal soon.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the amount of people who can't seem to figure out what the delta means. It's red is good, apparently, from what it seems. We see Monty getting quite close to Carlos, looking to catch up to the rest of the pack. I don't know why they're pushing so hard, but looks like most of the top of the field have pit. In fact, it looks like pretty much everyone has pitted in the last lap or so under this safety car. So it's reset the grid again. Currently, the top 3 is Charlie, Sonny, and Somther. It's going to be interesting to see who can make what tyres last till the end of the race.
I still can't believe Sonny did my boy Mythy like that. How can Ramsey be all this far back?
It's going to be interesting to see what comes out after the race.
Uncalled for, unfunny. didn't.
But yeah, we've got 3 drive-through penalties for Gaben, Clipto, and Envy to serve. You can't serve the drive-through penalties under the safety car. It has to be under full racing conditions. So there's no way of getting around these penalties. If you don't serve them, you will be disqualified, and you have to serve them within 3 laps. It is important to note that that 3 laps starts after the safety car has come in, so you don't have to immediately pit as the safety car comes in. You can leave it out for a bit. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes up the order, especially with the way strategies work. Oh, we now get a moment to breathe. Neutralize the race again.
You're gonna jinx
Hope
it now.
Yeah, we're gonna see someone stick it into Castle under safety car condition. We'll see another 3 drive-through penalties. This race doesn't seem to stop.
Well, I mean, all that we can call for now is, I don't know, a Blaze home wrecker crash in the next like 5 laps, maybe.
Well, the idea of calling things were like to call perhaps surprises and not, almost certainties.
I mean, enough people have lasted this long. I think I'd consider it a surprise.
I mean, that's true. I will say it is a surprise we have had 1 DNF so far. Obviously, that coming recently to bring out the safety car, but yeah, there has been a very severe lack of actual DNFage, and it looks like the 2 Alpha Tauris who were in very good position to score a handful of points are currently sat P16 and 17. With the way everything's formed out, it's not been their race, unfortunately, and they're gonna start feeling that sort of tang of regret in the back of their mouth of what could have been if their race went a bit cleaner.
Oh, what could have been if Sonny didn't smack into you? At
I
least
mean,
for
I will.
one, and I will be bitter about this.
Yeah, I mean, I will reserve comment, but that is what it looked like to me. So we'll have to see what the stewards say come the end of the race. Unfortunately, we don't have any live stewarding for incidents like that, but it will be something that will probably be looked at the end of the race. So
Yeah, there's been some spicy goodness, some dinking.
but as we see, we're waiting for all the cars to catch back up, so I'm not expecting the safety car to be in this lap. Expecting it to come in the next lap, but we'll see. We've seen weirder safety cars comes round. Normally we will have seen by now, so it looks like we're going to have the safety car for 1 more lap. Oh, no, wait, it's in this lap. That was a very late call. So it's going to be up to Charlie to back the pack up quite quickly. Try and let the safety car get away, control the restart. We'll see how he controls his restart. He's got Sonny hounding him from behind. Sonny's getting quite close to Charlie there. He's backing the pack up further and further. And it looks like he's gone. He is away. He's controlled the restart quite beautifully. Got that nice gap to Sonny where he can't send it into the turn 1. Are we going to make any moves into turn 1? No, it looks like we're going to go single file. So far as we've got a yellow flag in Sector 1, flyers dropping down the field. I believe that's an incident with the resident Spaniard. Interesting to know what happened there. I'm guessing collision with another driver. Unfortunate to see him drop down there, but the other drivers will be reaping the benefits of such a quick driver dropping down at the restart. As we've got a yellow flag in Sector 1, unsure what's caused this. It looks like Clipto dropping down a place. Envy and Clipto may be involved in a collision as we've got some drivers getting close through the second sector. There aren't many places to send it through here, especially through Castle. We've already seen one big blockage at Castle. We don't really need another one. we've got another yellow flag in Sector 1. Drivers taking it nice and easy through Castle there. No rash moves after the restart. And it looks like it's all settled down a bit after that restart.
Ooh. Choice words. Settled down.
As I say that, Flyers just retired from the session.
No!
And we've got another safety car. So about the
Holy
back-to-back safety cars. As we see Clipto with 0 front wing. Unsure as to what happened there, but that might have been the issue. What happened with Flyer? Are we going to see it as Clipto come through? I'm assuming it's something to do with Castle. No, we didn't see the corpse of that car. Anyone going to come in for new tyres, do we think? It might be interesting. Anyone who's got hards on might look to come into the pits, get rid of those, go mediums to the end now.
Yeah, because it seemed like they're only a handful on hards.
The only downside of doing that is because it was so close after a safety car, you will lose all of your track position if you do that. But 10 laps, I reckon the softs could last to the end here. So it might be worth, if you're on hards, if you're someone like Glenn, I would have picked the softs in that. I think he had very little to lose. He's currently getting, I think, 2 points where he is. Bang on a fresh set of softs and go for it.
Yeah. Just the zoomies.
But now we've got to fill the time of yet another safety car, which is always the most fun part of a cast is filling time.
The safety portion.
Yeah, the safety portion. I mean, honestly, we need a song. Like, imagine if we had like the safety dance song, but just for safety cars. We could just play it. Honestly, it could just be some clown music, given how this race is going. With the amount of penalties and accidents we've had, we definitely could have some clown music going on in the background. But unfortunately, we're stuck with Cody's implementation of a game and the way their safety car works. So, sat behind another safety car for 1 or 2 more laps. Looks like no one's really making any bold strategy calls coming in for tyres. It looks like Gaben did, which I'm glad to see he's put on the softs to the end. But yeah, we'll have to see how the rest of this race plays out. But if anything else is to go by, we're gonna get another 2 safety cars.
I don't know, that might be pushing it. At least 1 more. We've had 3. Can't be greedy and ask for 5. That's too much.
I mean, true, but also Brandon's still on the track, so...
Yeah. But he hasn't been, causing them.
That is true.
I guess that means that there's time where he has to cause one.
I do want to point out the fact that currently Glenn and Brandon are next to each other on track on a safety car restart.
Oh...
So we do have that spiciness coming through. So we'll have to see if that comes to fruition. We'll see what comes of it. I'm gonna hand it down to the pit lane while we got the safety car out for some information on Ferrari and the Flyer DNF. Over to you, Credden.
Cheers, Charmander. Yeah, the Flyer DNF is the big one. You love to see him contending in the final stages of the race. We won't see him do it today here in Baku. He was saying that he had damage already from the second safety car, and there were a few incidents as the pack was lining up for the restart. He just had a loss of control, and it led to his DNF. So he's going to regret that one. He's a good enough driver to come back late in the season, but yeah, really sucks for Flyer. Great news for everyone else. Had a quick chat with Ferrari as well. I mentioned to Glenn that he's got Blaze just ahead of him and asked him how he felt going into the final few laps. He talked briefly with Franklin, who is the other side of Blaze, and the words target acquired were mentioned in the call. So with them all staying on the same tyres, not doing a Hodgson third lap safety car pit, it might be a fairly fiery, spicy final 9 laps. Back to you, Charmander.
Thank you very much. So interesting news coming there. Obviously, tensions running high coming into the closing stages of this race. Be interesting to see if anyone's going to make some bold moves going into the final portion of this race. I'm hoping to see some of that, more of that really nice wheel-to-wheel racing we had, but after that it then devolved into a bit of chaos. So drivers need to sort of compose themselves and get back on track of where they want to be in the race. So we see safety car in this lap. We're going to see Charlie back the pack up again and look for another restart. He controlled the last one beautifully. Can he do this again?
He must be getting fed up of having to just and keep doing these resets.
Yeah, especially with Sonny hounding him from behind. Very Verstappen-esque restarts from Sonny. So just being an absolute colossal dickhead on the restarts. And we'll see if Charlie controls that pressure. As I said, he did it very well last time. And it looks like Charlie's gone again. It looks like Sonny's a bit closer this time, but might not be able to make a move. Coming in, Charlie's moving over to the left, moves back over to the right. Sonny has a bit of a look too far away, and something looks like he might be trying to get back on to Sonny as well. It's definitely a fight for first this. So we see some positions trading in the midfield. See Glenn and Brandon getting quite close to each other. Going to be interesting to see if either of those makes a move on each other. On what's going to happen. It looks like after this restart, it's all staying pretty stable. Drivers trying to be a bit more sensible. To look at Gaben trying to make a move up the inside of Miffy. Is he going to make it stick? Yes, he does. First move we've had. Note that Gaben still has this drive through to serve. So we see Mancho losing it on the exit of that corner, losing a couple of places because of that. Coming into this technical sector 2 now, drivers are going to look to sort of keep their positions a bit more, get through this without taking any damage. This was a lot calmer of a restart than previously. I'm just going to shut up. We see Hodgson hit the inside of Castle. Probably, it doesn't look like he's picked up too much damage, but loses a lot of pace and time because of it. Anything I say is being immediately proven wrong by the game of drivers hitting walls when I say things have just
and if this is how it works, I should say Brandon's doing really well this race, and he's gonna make it through without hitting another wall ever again.
I mean, true, he's up into P7. I believe this will be the first points of his season, looking to get on the board already, and he'll be definitely happy with getting P7 at the end of this race, especially with how chaotic it's been. Charlie setting the fastest lap of the race on this restart, trying to pull this gap to Sonny, but Sonny's staying within that 1 second gap he needs to do it, as we see Gaben comes in to serve his drive-through penalty. Everyone else sort of going line astern. A lot. I'm not going to say it. I was going to say it. I'm not going to say it at the moment. There are no positions being changed at the moment, is what I'll say. As we see Franklin getting very close to Carlos. Carlos in a very good position in that Williams up into P5, but he's being hounded by the Ferrari from behind. Franklin looking to really make up some points for this Ferrari team. Glenn also in the point scoring positions. They're in a sort of mini DRS train together. We'll wait to see DRS get activated before that comes to fruition. And we've got another 7 laps left of this utter chaos. So we'll have to see how it goes.
But what if there was another safety car?
Or what if I could keep my sanity? This has been absolute chaos so far.
Yeah. We're not here for sanity. We're here for cars.
I mean, I would also like to keep my voice as well. I think it's been a bit of a ragged one so far.
Yeah.
So we see Brandon getting close to Franklin in front, coming into this start-finish race. Charlie's pulled out a massive gap on Sonny, 1.5 seconds on that last lap as DRS is enabled. Franklin very close to Carlos, but Carlos moving out to the side. Is the move going to stick? The rubbing wheels pushed a bit wide, but Franklin has made the move stick. Is Carlos going to look for re-attack with this DRS. He's got Brandon behind him also with the DRS. This is where this DRS train starts to form. As you see, Calypto has retired from the session. Unsure as to what happened there, but we'll have to see whether that was in the pits or not. Oh.
Yeah, it didn't seem it was a. All fair to me, it's like it's one of, I think it's his first race for VLF1 for Clipto.
Yeah, it's definitely his first race, and he's lasted longer than some of the other drivers. You know, there were no expectations on him. I don't think he should be overly disappointed with his performance. You know, I think he's just sort of, he was called up last minute as well, so it's good to see that we've definitely got people to take those positions. As we see, as I said, this DRS train starting to form, and it looks like it's a DRS train from 6th all the way down to 14th. It is a massive DRS train, and there looks like no one is going to be spared. Carlos looking to try and stay with Franklin, but he's just dropped out of that DRS zone, so Brandon's going to be looking at him and think Carlos is rich for the taking. Interesting to know if there's going to be any team orders going on there. As we see Charlie get a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. As it stands, if he doesn't make up this gap, Sonny is going to win the race. As we see Brandon come into the pits, it looked like he had wing damage from what I could see, so that's unfortunate for him. That's going to put paid to the rest of his race unless we get another safety car towards the end. But the big news is Charlie getting that 3-second time penalty. He's going to need to build up that gap before the end of the race, otherwise he will lose that lead to Sonny. You see Hodgson making a move on Glenn here, makes it stick going into the corner. Impress trying to make a move on Mancho. Mancho keeping ahead. As we see Impress hit the wall coming out. He's going to lose positions because of that. Oh, it's all falling apart for the Mercedes project as it is. As we see Impress sort of parking his car in the middle of the track. Both Dorman and Miffy trying to get past him, and they just can't. They're going to be stuck behind him for this technical small part of the track. It's all sort of fallen apart. That DRS train is sort of broken up a bit between what I think it was P5 and P14. Now those are sort of a couple of packs starting to form. And it's going to be interesting to see who can take advantage of this going into the final 5 laps of the race.
I'm just feeling bad for Charlie because he's been doing so well to keep first, and with the penalty now it's just a bit sad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate one to see.
Lead.
Yeah, you never want to lose your lead just because of a 3-second time penalty, but them's the breaks. Don't cut the corner if you don't want the penalty.
Don't mention breaks. Some people don't know about those.
True, apparently they're scared this race. You see a couple of cars breaking into turn 1, both AlphaTauri's driving past Impress, who's unfortunately had a bit of a mare of a time in the restart. I said the Mercedes project, as I say that, Brandon just gets past Envy after he's had to pit for wing damage as Hodgson nuzzles the back of Carlos going through this corner. He looks like he's really trying to push Carlos around the rest of this track, trying to get past him, but he can't seem to make the move stick no matter where he puts his car.
It does seem Charlie's able to have gained a little bit more of a lead. And they're 2 seconds now.
It does. So he's gone from 1.3 to about 2.1, 2.2 now. It's going to be interesting to see if he can consistently make those gaps. 9 tenths he needs to make on Sonny. Obviously, it's added a lot of pressure to his race. Before the 3-second, as we got a yellow flag in sector 2, unsure as to what's caused that. It's gone now. Just, Envy driving a bit slowly, so obviously having a bit of a spin by the looks of it. Still driving slowly around the track. I'm guessing his tyres are a bit warm. Sonny really feeling the pressure on him to start making that gap as Mancho loses it around Ping Pong, spinning out across the track. Yellow flag in Sector 3. Obviously, for that incident, there's going to be debris all across the track. That's unfortunate for the Red Bull driver, and it looks like Monty has either been collected by him or has done a very similar thing. Monty staying back to let some of the drivers pass on the racing line. That's an interesting way to end the race, as we see, I think, Hodgson coming wide out of a corner there. Carlos taking that position back. The Red Bull driver's having a bit of a mess. Glenn sends it up the inside of Hodgson, decides better of it, pulls out. Both Red Bull drivers having a bit of a mare of it, and obviously Mancho losing a lot of damage and a lot of time due to that spin out.
Just not knowing what to do.
I mean,
Getting a bit too rare.
Yeah, Charlie's thanking his lucky stars it wasn't a full safety car or even a VSC. Gives him time to build up that gap, which he's really doing. It's now almost up to 2.8 seconds now. It has just breached that threshold. Now 2/10 left to gain in 3 laps. Can he do it? He's really got the pressure on him to really start building that gap, and he looks like he's consistently making that gap. Sonny sort of faltering under the pressure of trying to stay within that gap. He's not got DRS. He's got no one around him. Going to be interesting to see if they're going to hit any of the back markers like Envy. Are they going to play a factor come the end of this race? We'll have to see as this DRS train comes up to this DRS zone now. See Gaben recovering from his drive-through, back in the points. After his drive-through, that's an incredibly impressive drive from Gaben, I do have to say. Recovering points after that is always an impressive feat, as it looks like Miffy tried to make a move around the outside of Glenn, looking for the switchback, doesn't make it stick. Going into the second DRS zone now. Glenn runs a bit wider than he would like to, gives Miffy an opportunity. Miffy DRS open, drives right past him, a lot more straight line speed than Glenn, possibly running lower wing. Glenn's got mugged by Gaben as well, as we see Carlos has spun on the exit of that corner. That's really unfortunate for him. Merc Project was looking so good in the middle of this race after the safety car, and it's all fallen apart. Only Somethers left to sort of spare their blushes.
At least he's reliably in third, so he can be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, he'll definitely take another podium. He'll obviously wanted the win, given the way that started, as Glenn's driving very slowly through Castle. That is possibly the first overtake I have ever seen through Castle. I'm not sure what went on there, but Glenn decided to just let Dormin through. We'll have to see if that pays off as Dormin... Go on.
It's the season of giving. We're getting to Christmas. Just...
As we see a bit of a yellow flag in sector 1, it's important to note Charlie has made that 3-second gap. So as it stands, Charlie has regained net P1. As we see Impress losing it on ping pong, another driver falling prey to that section. I'm unsure as whether he picked up any damage there. If it did, it looks like he's not pitting either way for it. There's only 2 laps left, so it's not much point pitting if you do have damage. Got a battle of the Red Bulls between Miffy and Hodgson here. Oh, excuse me, my started coughing a bit there. Need a cough button rather than just a straight mute. As we see Gaben looking to go up the inside of Hodgson here. Are they going to make it move? No, they're going to be stuck for the rest of this lap. As the laps go on, you start to feel the pressure of, can I make any more positions? Gaben looks like he's trying to make a move. Ooh.
Just live life on the edge.
Yeah. He's really just trying to push Hodgson into a mistake here. He's pushed Hodgson out of Miffy's DRS, which means coming up to this long straight now, Gaben's going to have a lot of straight line speed to make this overtake stick. Is he going to take this chance? As we see Charlie is onto the final lap of the race with that 4-second gap built up. Is he coming round to this DRS section now through ping pong? Is going to make another mistake. Are they going to make another mistake? Because the MV has retired from the session. Yellow flags in sector 3. You've got to be careful. No overtaking allowed under yellow flags. See Gaben on the outside of Hodgson there being squeezed against the wall. DRS is now activated. Gaben just breezes past with that DRS activation. There's not much Hodgson can do there, unfortunately. And he just has to let Gaben and hope. As Hodgson has a bit of a wobbly moment coming out of turn 1. That's going to cost him. He needs to keep with Gaben through the end of this lap if he wants to take this position back. He needs to stay within that DRS and start hounding the back of him. Maybe force Gaben into a mistake. As we see Miffy has overtaken Franklin on that last lap. Franklin dropping out of that DRS zone. Unfortunately, won't be able to get DRS onto that final straight.
Crazy how far, like, the distance is between, like, second, third, and fourth.
Yeah, it's, 25 seconds? Yeah. So pit stop, we've seen Gaben get a 3-second time penalty. Hodgson's going to be dancing when he sees that. It means he no longer has to make this overtake stick. Just stay within that 3-second gap. Is he going to be able to make it stick? We'll have to see. As we see Glenn overtaking Dorman going into the final. Charlie has taken the checkered flag. Sonny finishes 1.6 seconds after the penalty was applied. Something looking to round out the top 3 as we see Dorman there touching the wall slightly. As we see Impress losing a load more positions. I'm guessing he's had a bit of a spin. Something rounding out that top 3. Shadow looking to bring home the points. He'll be very happy with that position in P4. Miffy looking to try and take Shadow. Just doesn't make it. 2 tenths off. As we see Impress has retired from the session on the final lap. You hate to see it. Hodgson staying within that 3-second gap of Gaben. Glenn getting that P9 position. Dorman rounding out your top 10. And what started out as a promising second half of the race for the Mercedes project, they're going to be rounding out outside of the points P11, P12, and probably P15 for Impress. That's an unfortunate end to the race for the Mercedes project, who were looking so promising going into the second half of this race after that safety car.
At least overall, it wasn't like... A lot of people can be proud of how they did.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers
difficult
like
circumstances.
Shadow. But as you say, there are drivers that can be proud. I think drivers like Shadow, frankly, Gaben for the recovery. Definitely recovering after his late drive-through that he had to serve. Getting back up into the points. Really impressive to see from him. Yeah, overall, it was a great race. Marred by a couple of incidents, but there was some really fantastic racing. As we see, Glenn gets driver of the day. Brandon will not be happy to see that. We see Tydox or Charlie coming here, taking his P1 position. Ready to spray his champagne over everyone, going for the Lando Norris, smash the bottle on the podium approach, getting sprayed by Sonny, his former teammate last season. Won constructors together. Now they're on opposing positions. Right.
You love to see
And with the end of that race, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to run back down to the desk. And I'm going to hand it back down to Cradden to finish off what was definitely a very exciting Baku Street race. Take it away, Cradden.
Cheers, Charmander. I'm just collecting the results at the moment. It's just crazy to see Charlie win. It's the third unique winner in 3 races. So fantastic to see for the parity of the league. But man, there were so many issues during the entirety of that race. Stand by for a second, guys. We're just getting the confirmed tyre info, confirmed standing, so we can make all the stewarding stuff, everyone's life easier as we get into the review session, because I'm sure there will be plenty of reviews to be had. I've just opened the door, and he's red-faced. He's sweaty from doing his final run of the evening. Let's see if we've got him. Pushka, are you there?
Yeah. I've made it.
Fantastic. That's more than can be said for a lot of our drivers, to be honest. We ended up with 3 official DNFs. That's Clipto, Flyer, and Maka. And then we had a couple more retirements. I think Impress retired on the last lap, and I think Envy retired with 3 laps to go, but technically classifying with 90% of the race distance complete. How are you feeling? What are your initial impressions? Was it different to Austria?
I mean, it was pretty different, yeah. There was it was some of the chaos I expected, just not one specific form of chaos that I was hoping for and didn't get.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to break this sort of thing down because normally when there's a race, there's a lot of like steady, measured racing, and then maybe 1 or 2 flashpoints. With this sort of race, it's like there were just collisions every couple of turns, and then the big ones were, of course, the 3 safety cars. I remember getting in touch with Flyer, who was disadvantaged during one of them and caused the 3rd safety car. Maka's puncture, of course, causing the 2nd safety car. The 1st safety car now feels so long ago, I'm not even sure what happened. I think it was a Dormin spin, but at this point I'm relying on the drivers to tell me more than anything else. It was crazy.
Yeah, I lost track when there were so many safety cars. I was joking about there being like 2 or 3. But, you know.
Yeah, it actually happens, though. Oh, we're already getting shout for interviews, so let's see who comes onto the stream. We've got Franklin already claiming that there should have been a restart because he was personally inconvenienced on lap 1, turn 1. You know, that's the only time that's ever happened. Oh, and in fact, we've got someone. We've actually got our Mercedes podium sitter, Somtha. So let's bring him in, see what he has to offer. Hello, Somtha. How are you doing?
I'm good. You know,
how's the PTSD after that race?
I mean, these safety cars, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
VSCs. Yeah, I mean, it was looking good. I can't really complain with the 3rd. It would have been nice to have been a bit closer to Sunny in Zydox in P1 or 2.
I mean, you qualified in P4, moved up to P3 on the grid because of Sunny's pen.
Yeah.
You're actually one of the drivers who had the least of things happen to them at the start and throughout the race. You started P3 and ended P3.
I had a really good start, and I think Maka might have hit me. I need to have a look. I might have caused him to spin at the start.
The start was quite funny.
So we knew of the Maka spin. You're saying you could have been involved directly. He was starting
potentially because he was right behind me.
Okay.
But I'll have to have a look at my stream and see what happened.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get all sorts of people throwing their views into VL Racing General.
Yeah. But it was a good race. I managed my tyres well. That last safety car really helped Sunny out. Because me and Zydox were past the pit lane when it came out. And also, I foolishly, under that 2nd safety car, I foolishly stopped paying attention and hit my wing and castle. I had to get a new wing in the pit, which meant Sunny got past me. That's why Sunny was in P2 for that 2nd restart.
You hate to see it, but it's losing to Sunny is nothing to be ashamed of. He's a fast guy, and apparently going around the calls today, the Miffy and the Red Bull guys had a lot of angry words about Sunny. Franklin and the Ferrari guys had a lot of angry words about Sunny.
I don't think there's many angry words to have had about Sunny in our call. I think Bodsham was mentioned a few times.
Tell me more. Yeah, did Bodsham get to you, or was it mostly with
no, not to me.
Brandon and the Salzburgers?
To everyone else, and then I looked down the minimap as I crossed my line, and everyone's having a party without me in Sector 3.
Yeah, you can say that again. You avoided it completely, but there was Alex covered it on stream. There was a giant DRS train from P6 down to P14, so you just got to chill with Whopper.
Yeah, it was had some decent battles and keeping up with people up to that last safety car. But then that last safety car onwards, I just pulled out a gap to Shadow Hopper and just was just managing my tyres at that point. I wasn't pushing at all, just making sure I got to the end and finished. So I mean, it's a good race. You can't be disappointed with the podium really, but
it definitely felt like just getting to the end was the main goal without crashing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I would have been in Castle, would have got Shadow 12 seconds behind me.
And yeah, massive performance. You've got a podium, so that's your second podium in 3 races. Brings you up to 41 points total. I think that'll put you P2 in the championship, but we'll see how those things get together.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about your consistency and about your performance race by race very early in the season?
Good, because I DNF'd 7 times last season, which isn't good. So definitely aiming to be more consistent at finishing race-wise.
Yeah,
season.
I mean, 3 good finishes is one thing. 3 brilliant finishes in 2nd, 3rd, and 6th is nothing to be snuffed at. So, yeah, if you can keep that form going, you'll be challenging up there in the table. It's those sort of moments you'll look back on when you battle Sunny and Zydox, but battling Sunny and Zydox is better than a lot of things. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good overall good race. Bit disparaging about how far Sunny and Zydox will head, but that's to be expected, really, isn't it? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick one before we ask for our next guy. How are you feeling about the team? So obviously, Blaze and the 2 Salzburger brothers didn't have the best of races today. How was the mood in call? Were they tilting or were they helping?
No, the mood was good. The mood was good.
Nice. That's from that call, I know.
Yeah. PMA.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, let's hope that continues. Congrats on P3 and cheers for the interview. Catch you later.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's move straight on to our next interview. Pushkar, I'll leave you to introduce this guy.
Well, he's one of the few people in the race that I actually know. My boy Ramsey, or Miffy.
Well, let's bring him in. Oh, no, I can't drag him directly. There we go. Oh. Let's get him. Hey, Miffy.
How's it going?
Going well. How's the war crimes?
What war crimes? I don't know what happened. That was a really clean race from me.
Nice. So yeah, P5, 10 points. Never in doubt, eh, Miffy?
I could have got. I mean, I nearly got P4. I'm not sure if you saw it on the line, but I gave Shadow a bit of a scare. I think I gained something mad like 2.5 seconds on him on the last lap.
Ooh. Oh man!
So he was like, yeah, I'm safe, but he had I was just talking to him. He said he had a tiny bit of wing damage, so he was just kind of managing it, and then out of nowhere, just Alpha Towery. Yeah, but I don't know. I think go on.
I was just going to say, but despite a lot of issues, you've come through fairly cleanly. You qualified very well. I was actually really impressed at your time of 1:38.8. You didn't even pull out on the final lap in Q3. You pulled it out beforehand, and you were fighting up there with P3 with Zydox and Sunny. So I saw that this is actually a great stat. I saw that you actually had the most time played amongst all of my friends in VLF1, with the exception of your teammate Dorman. You've played 23.5 hours recently of F1 2021. So have you put a lot of the time into this track, or has it been sort of stat stuff?
Nope. I have basically done... I hadn't turned on F1 until yesterday. All week, I've just been absolutely knackered. So, yeah, I got a setup from Trav, last thing on a Friday. And was...
Just Trav things.
Yeah, just Trav things, even though he's not racing, he's still providing the entire team with setups. But it was really, really sketchy on the rear, under acceleration. So I was thoroughly just expecting to end up in a wall at some point if I was going to be running on dead tires at some point. But I think Dorman had the big brain strategy to do the box twice under safety car. So I went to...
You've actually got big brains in that project. Trav, Dorman, the IQ numbers are crazy. And then you've got Ferrari. No, I didn't say that. Just amazing info from Dorman. We saw good teamwork from you guys last week. Did that continue? And also with Hodge and Mancho, did you guys have good comms?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a bit... it was a bit weird because I'm not sure if the stream noticed, but at one point after the third, how many safety cars were there? I don't know. After the last safety car, we were just all in a big line, all the Red Bulls, right at the back. It was like Hodgson, Mancho, me, and then Dorman behind me, and we were on, I think, fresh. All of us were on fresh mediums, I think, and we were just kind of taking it in turns at one point just to try and get past. I think Impress. There was definitely some words spoken about Impress. Perhaps hold. I got the impression that Impress held Hodgson up. I didn't see it myself, but just from the words, yeah.
I didn't see the exact turn, but everything was so close, especially in Sector 1. I did see Impress Hodge, Impress Mancho. In fact, we just got done interviewing Somther, and Somther hinted that Hodgson's name came up a lot in the Mercedes call. I think you guys are saying the reverse, that Impress's name came up a lot in the Red Bull call.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there was a lot of accusations of very booky breaking points for Castle and chaos happening. But I remember that I basically ended up like fully slamming on the brakes through Castle at one point and just coming to a dead stop because something had occurred in front of me. I've got no idea what, but it was interesting. But yeah.
It overrides every instinct you have to come to a full stop on a Formula 1 track, but sometimes you just have to in Baku. It's crazy.
I think I do a Mancho in the back, and I was just like, thank God somehow Alpha Tauri, gave me the invincible front wing, whereas I think Dorman went through the other 8.
Yeah, it's a bit of honor though to go through your team. At least it's friendly fire. You're not doing a Hodgson. Oh, one thing I wanted to ask is, obviously you've had your flashpoints as a team with Red Bull versus various Ferraris and Mercs. What was your personal biggest flashpoint? Was it that, or was it maybe the incident with Sonny around turn 2? Was that something that got you?
I still don't know what happened. I know I thought he was going to send it up the inside into turn 2, and I was like, that's a really stupid move. I hope he doesn't do that. And then I don't know if I got a tap. I think I just like braked too late, or was a bit ambitious with my. I think at that time I was on the old mediums, and they were starting to go away. But I know on the exit, I just kind of lit up the rear tires a bit too much and gave him a little doot on the way past. So yeah.
We have racing incidents every now and then. It did look like a little bit of a hit on you and a little bit of a swing ground and a hit on him, but yeah. Well, these things happen, especially in Baku. The important thing, though, is you've come out with P5, you've come out with 10 points, and it's the second 10 points in a row pending steward reviews, because you got 5th in the Styrian Grand Prix last week. How are you feeling about your form versus last season, where you came out with 86 points, a few retirements, versus your 3 consistent finishes so far?
Yeah, I definitely think, looking back at the Styrian Grand Prix, it was more a case of I think I got lucky to be that high up, whereas this one, I definitely think I could have got, I think, who what was the finishing order? It was like Charlie, Sonny, Somther.
Somther and Wappo were ahead of you.
Yeah, okay. I think Somther was probably just a bit too quick. I don't really know what happened to him on strategy because he was in the same really weird boat as me. So I'm guessing he just went hardest to the end after the first safety car.
Yeah, Somther and Glenn were the only 2 in the top 10 to go 1 stop medium hard.
Yeah, that was very. Yeah, there's a reason that I was like, as soon as Dorman suggested going, we went pitted for softs, did a lap round under the safety car, pitted again for mediums. So I technically did medium, just with like one little break of softs under safety car, and then that was that. So that was definitely, not having to deal with the softs that last about 3 corners and the hards that last 3 years, but also have no grip. So
it's the triple safety car. Unprecedented.
We were baffled. We were just like, what is happening?
Well, you've got
Cody's, please.
4 worn tires, 3 safety cars, 2 senior Red Bulls to be overtaken, and a P5 in a pear tree. So Well done, Miffy. It's been great to have you on. Go and celebrate with the rest of your boys, by which I mean Hodgson, who didn't follow up on his win but got a P7. So cheers, Miffy. We'll catch you soon. Maybe even on the desk.
Yeah, maybe. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Yeah, what a man there, Miffy. There goes my hero. Watch him as he goes. Yeah, let's bring on our race winner if we can. So Charlie, winning for the first time this season. Obviously, with it being fairly early on in the season, we only got the 2 previous wins of Sonny and Hodgson. But it's our 3rd unique winner in 3 races. We're going to bring him into the studio. It's Charlie or Zydox. How you doing, man?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well. How are you feeling after your race win?
I feel happy after the first 2 races went to shite. So I'm very happy that it's gone good.
Can you give us any insight into your PC issues? What happened in the first 2 races?
I don't know, but I feel like my PC doesn't like Austria because the frames just drop in the end of sector 3 when it comes to the second last corner. It just goes to like 20 or 60, and then I don't know. So the game just doesn't really like me.
Either the game doesn't or something very specific about Austria doesn't. But yeah, the high buildings in Baku seem to be your friend, and yeah, you pulled out the fastest lap. Looking at your laps through qualifying in the race, you seem to go very close to the walls compared to the other drivers. You had very surgical precision. Have you been practicing specifically on Baku, or just like a normal amount compared to the other tracks?
No, I actually haven't practiced the race today.
Okay, so just coming into the race, coming in hot.
And I got yeah, so I just tried in quali to improve a little bit, and then at the start of the race, due to like into the middle of the race, I felt more comfortable. So I felt like I don't know, that was my practice.
Don't know if it's
Oh,
me or you. They're getting a couple of
it's
bits of interference. It might be a voice gate. It might be internet connection.
it's definitely me. I'm looking at my ping, and it went up to 400. So
But anyone who's listening, this is your race winner having ping up to 400. He
that
beat
might
every
be
single
right.
one of you. He just destroyed you and picked up 26 points. You should feel bad.
Was it 26?
Yeah, you 25 for the win, and then an extra 1 for that fastest lap.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, definitely take that. It's you sort of towards the end of last season. You only joined halfway through the season. You picked up like 8 podiums, a win in Japan.
Yeah.
You were almost coming into a random team every week because you were the reserve, whereas this time round you were with Flyer. I noticed you were with Flyer, the Aston Martin boys, and Maka and a call. How
Yeah.
were the comms as you went through the race? Did you have any teamwork with Flyer, or just sort of all doing your own thing?
I think it was us all doing our own thing. I mean, Gaben and Sonny were talking in a language I cannot understand, so we were all trying to understand what they're saying. So we were just guessing what they were saying to try and copy their strategies. But no, I feel like when it came down to qualifying, when I did my last lap, me and Flyer didn't plan this, but he gave me a toe, which gave me at least a tenth and a bit, which helped out a lot to get my pole up. So
Yeah, I noticed that towards the end. Gaben did the same for Sonny, by the way, so you were on the level playing field with him.
yeah,
But yeah, that little diff worked out.
yeah.
In terms of the race, were there ever any points where you had to like dodge any major collisions? Were you caught up in turn 1 at all with Maka?
No, I felt like it was clean, apart from when I accidentally hit into something because I actually didn't realize he was there. I've texted him as well to say sorry, but yeah, no, I felt like it was a good race. I felt like Sonny was gonna at the end put up a big battle and dive on me inside, but I think I got him on the safety car restart.
Yeah, you did really well. The safety car restart was great. And one thing that the commentators during the race were talking about was you picked up that 3-second time penalty for corner cutting,
Oh yeah,
and it
that
was
was
just about a
stupid.
battle to try and get away from Sonny in the last few laps. But you
Yeah.
managed it, and that's why we're talking about you as a race winner right now. Were you nervous you wouldn't get those 3 seconds on him?
Oh, 100%, because he was sticking with me for a numerous amount of laps at like 1.5 seconds, 1.6, and then I just kind of decided to just go like full send. And if I spin, I spin. At least I'm trying to win. So
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was tense every lap just watching the number gradually go. I'm like, oh my god, he's doing it.
Ayrton Senna moment if you go for a time delta that doesn't exist. I've butchered that quote already, so I won't bother finishing it. But someone who did finish it was you. You won the race. You won once last season in, I think it was 11 or 12 races. You've got your first win on the board this season based on the PC issues in Austria. It's your first classified finish. What are your ambitions for this season? Are you looking to challenge for the championship? Are you happy with
100%.
sort of 3-4, or are you going to be sort of Flyers support?
I think this race is just kicking it off. I think for the rest of the races coming, I'm going to aim to win most of them. But if it comes down to, let's say, Flyers faster than me, then we'll have like teamwork, and I'll let him pass me, and I'll play a teammate role.
I like it. You've got the individual power. You've got the potential teamwork if you need it. It should be fantastic. Charlie, congrats again. Enjoy the 26 points, and we'll catch you in a week's time if you can make it. See if we can do it again.
I'll try. I'll see you guys later.
Catch you in a bit.
Yeah.
Oh man, Charlie, what an absolute legend. He's getting a race win. It's his second overall in VL, first this season. I don't know if you saw any of his laps live, but he does seem scarily talented. He was going really close to the walls.
I mean, for me, like a lot of it was scarily close to the walls.
Yeah, like
as someone who played like driving games that are more about you have to crash into people, I was just getting freaked out.
I don't know if you've seen anyone race in Monaco in VLF1. That's probably the extreme example I can think of.
Like I remember clips from races in Monaco. But I wouldn't know for sure.
But yeah, when people talk about street circuits, it's those sort of jitters. It's to successfully get on the racing line and do the fastest lap, you have to pass really close to anyone that's by you. Okay,
tickle the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Tickle the wall, reach out and high five a spectator. All right. One thing I'm going to do is before we get our next couple of guys in, we're just going to look at a few of the predictions that took place. So let's have a nice little screen share of the predictions that various people have called. Obviously, yourself before the race, myself, Hodgson, and Miffy on the pre-show. So we called dry weather. Me and Hodge did. We actually got the call on the Merc radio at the start of the race. This is actually the biggest cap ever. Blaze messaged me and said, we're potentially seeing wet weather. And Jeff was even saying, watch out, dries are the fastest tyre right now, which is almost a tacit admission we're going to get rain at some point. Impresses Jeff was saying rain in 10 to 15 minutes. And then Brandon put on the hard tyres, which are meant to last the longest in the race. Yeah, either way, we got the dry race. Yeah, I really want to see wet conditions at some point. It's a nice strategy test, but not this time. None of us called the winner correctly, though. You had Flyer, I had Sunny, and Charlie did it. Yeah, I could see any of
the wrong one.
Yeah, wrong pass. We said there would be a pile-up. All of us picked different Project Ferrari drivers, which is, given the whole extent of the race, maybe a good move. But in lap one, it was in turn one. It looked like Maka, and based on what Somtha was saying earlier, it could have been an incident with Somtha or someone else at the front of the race. Dangerbot, we had Impress, Sunny, Wilder, and Blaze as the shouts. I think if we were going for a Dangerbot, I'd say either Impress, Hodgson, or Sunny, with a side shout on maybe Mancho based on what I was seeing. Would you maybe throw anyone else into the mix based on what you saw?
I'm not sure. I'm just upset that I lost on that one.
Yeah, the Blaze is the Dangerbot. I'm pretty sure he ran into the back of a couple. I think he went into the back of Gaben at one point in Castle, and then had to like slam on brakes in a later Castle, and then still hit the Alfa Romeo in front of him. But Blaze's Dangerbot this race was mainly strategy calls.
Yeah.
He did Hodgson cosplay, if you will.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the Dark Horse. So Dark Horse, we said, who would do well relative to previous expectations. You said Carlos. Carlos was doing all right. He was getting up into P5 later in the race. He did unfortunately end P11, but yeah, did okay. Dormin didn't really perform to the standards he set in Austria. Mancho didn't really pull through for Hodge. I said Monty would finish top 8. His teammate Shadowhopper was doing really well, but Monty didn't really set the world on fire this week. Yeah, it's great to see his teammate Shadow getting big points on the board for Alpine, though. Now, our next one is going to be a surprise. So it could be either good, bad, anything that happened. Now, you said Hodgson winning on this one. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Hmm. Maybe I held out too much hope.
That was my 10%, to be honest. I did a later 90-50-10. I said Hodge would win.
I can't believe my surprise was that he'd win, and I got that wrong. But his surprise was that Charlie and or Zydox would finish, and he got that right. So like, what?
Yeah, there's finish, and then there's absolutely blitz everyone to get
Yeah.
P1. So Hodge didn't make the good strategy calls on track. It seems he did them with the predictions this time.
Damn it.
Yeah, the Zydox absolutely smashed everyone. My prediction was absolute ass on that one. I said Flyer would be out in Q1. Not only was he not out in Q1, he was so happy with his Q2 performance that he just Bing chilled for the last 6-7 minutes out of the 12 available.
Sometimes you just gotta.
Yeah, what, gotta Bing chill or gotta make a really bad prediction?
The second one.
No. Speaking of, biggest flop, I said Gabe and DNF, not really had the drive through. Miffy and Pushka said Sunny, awkward.
He didn't get first, that's a flop.
Nice, big flop, confirmed live on stream. And Hodge said that Flyer would be out of the points. Me and Hodge really doing Flyer dirty on this one. He was correct though. Flyer had an incident on the second safety car, carried it through, caused the third safety car. Yeah, best start. We'll move past that one because everyone died. Best gained lap 1. Yeah, we'll move past that because everyone died. The next one was, did we have safety car or virtual safety car impact? You hit me with a yes, and the game hit you with a yes. So
I can't. I feel like I called like 2 or 3 safety cars. I feel like I said that.
Yeah,
and I need clarification on that.
we'll have to rewind the stream.
Yeah.
You can link it and say, yeah, we did well. We got our 90s mostly right though. I think there were 10 wing changes for Miffy. There was at least a safety car for Hodge, and there was at least a DNF for me. Yeah, easy calls. I said Glenn would beat Blaze. That happened, although that could have not happened in the final few laps. Hodge said an Alpine would get points, and Whopper pulled through. Miffy said there would be more than 5 DNFs. Technically, there were exactly 5 DNFs, so no 50, but it's about as clean flip as you can get. None of our 10%s landed. I said Hodge would win. Hodge said that he himself would have a good strategy, and Miffy said that a Project Ferrari driver would land in the top 5. Closest Project Ferrari got was, in fact, P6 with Franklin, pending steward reviews. I'd like to leave the final word on predictions to Blaze, who said that there would be a 90% chance of a Merc Project win, including 50% of a Somther win and 10% of a Blaze win. Confusing W's for L's is what he's done there. He's got he's confused W's for L's and sub 100% probabilities with absolute certainties. It's apart from Somther, who came through and landed a sweet podium, the rest of the project absolutely melted in those final few laps, which is not great. Should we get some more people for an interview?
Yeah.
Let's do it. I think we had
something bad player, by the way.
We might have bod player, Brandon Dying stream. I think a Ferrari or Alpine driver might have wanted to come in. So let's do what they do in the FA Cup draw and put our hand into the box of balls where the balls are the drivers. And there's a really bad analogy to be made here, but I'm going to keep the stream PG for a second successive week. And here we go. We've got Shadow Hopper. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. Just recovering from a 10 lap showdown.
Oh man, Miffy was saying, we had Miffy on earlier, he was saying, I don't know if you noticed, but I was really bearing down on Shadow towards the end. You certainly would have noticed.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I came into that last lap, I was like, nice. Like, the lap before, I was like, oh, still 4 seconds to Franklin, because I had wing damage, I was just managing my pace. And, like, coming to the last lap, I see, hang on, Miffy's 2 seconds behind me. And I could just hear the boss music.
Yeah, boss music plus the last bit of the lap being a giant straight, which is prime for DRS overtakes as well. The fact you made it out was great. Trav won't be able to talk on the stream, but one of my first memories in VLF1 was in Season 1 we were finishing Brazil, and Trav came from behind at me with all the force of 1,000 suns, and I could hear the boss music as he came towards me at the line. And he just about pipped me, and it sucks to be on that end. You get the good ending and get through with P4 pending steward reviews. So,
Yeah,
how are you feeling? Massive points for Alpine.
yeah, no, it's nice to actually finish in the points.
Yeah, it's there's points and then there's 12 points, a very mimetic Formula One number. It wasn't just a flash in the pan either. You came through in Q3, top half get there. And how did you feel that qualifying went? Because you beat a lot of really established drivers.
I mean, honestly, I'm not too sure because I beat my time trial time as well. So it just kind of like, I think something just clicked. And yeah, so I kind of went into Q3, like obviously went into Q3 with not a lot to lose, considering I'd only just got into it in the first place. So coming out in P9 was fine by me.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like a really disrespectful P9. You were within 2/10, 3/10, 4/10 of between P3 and P7. So you can definitely see yourself fighting with those drivers, Maka Somtha, Miffy, even Flair and Gaben in the weeks to come. So yeah, really encouraging sign. Going on from there, Baku is known as a really devastating track. We saw that with the safety cars, the DNFs today. How does it rank for you? Is it one of your favourites, one you'd like to avoid and get out of the way early?
To be fair, I quite like the track. Obviously, it can be very, very cruel sometimes. Like you go into castle, a bit too much speed, and there's not really a lot you can do about it at that point. But no, as far as tracks go, I think like it's actually decent. You can actually get some decent racing on it as well.
Yeah, it's we did see a really nice chain towards the end. You wouldn't have got to see it because you only had the Jaws boss music of Miffy towards the end. There was a giant chain of between, let's say, P6, P13, 14, all DRSing off each other towards the end. So I think you can be glad you avoided that one. Did you have any major flashpoints towards the start of the race that we weren't aware of?
To be honest, no, I kind of kept it out of trouble, which for me is a new thing.
Love it.
But no, not a lot really happened other than the McLaren at turn 1, just trying to get around that.
Yeah, the spinning of Maka was certainly fun. A couple of other drivers have brought it up. If you can get past that at turn 1 in Azerbaijan, you can get past anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, P4, fantastic work for you. You're looking back at last season, you got a couple of podiums yourself, P3 in Britain, P2 in Monaco, very close to Miffy, as history repeats itself. But yeah, getting a P4 on the board. How are you feeling towards your season? Are you looking for a bit more consistency with the avoiding retirements, or are you looking for the sort of flash in the pan that maybe Maka or Gaben would lead with, really high finishes one week and then retiring the next?
I think just trying not to retire this season. I mean, I think I'm already doing better than last season, which granted didn't take much. But yeah, no, I think kind of going forward, like I think my pace is kind of getting there as well. I've not even picked up the game like since last season basically. So kind of Austria rolled around and it was like, oh, it's an hour till Austria. I better practice a bit.
Yeah, we certainly have seen the difference in VLF1 between drivers who've just picked up the game and drivers who have like. I think Sonny said he did 700 laps, or at least that's what Impressive Power Rankings said on Austria. And I don't know how many people he managed to pick up at a bar with that line, but yeah, it's you've definitely got the range coming into VLF1. But all you can do is what you've done on track. Fantastic work in quali, and yeah, massive points for Alpine. A word to your boy Monty, by the way. So Monty's not been able to score any points thus far. He's had a few incidents and a few spins. How's he feeling? How is he keeping his chin up? How's the team comms?
No, it's fine. I think he got a bit unlucky this race. I mean, the safety cars kind of screwed his strategy. Then kind of he chanced on the softs at the end and just kind of as they were falling off, he had a couple of moments at ping pong. So, but no, he's still going with it. I think it will only be a matter of time before he starts scoring some points.
Yeah, he's got the strategies. He can get the pace. You two had similar fastest lap times. Had the two stop, but yeah, just like Wilder last week. Wilder was prone to spins in the draft race on round 1, but in round 2 he put together a really solid second half, finished 6th. So yeah, we know from Monty's big brain strategies like Silverstone, he can put that together. So hopefully we get a bit of that for Alpine.
Yeah, some more wet races and we'll be fine.
Yeah, Monty and Flyer sharing P1 and P2 on that one. All right, any final words for the stream? Or maybe a call out for someone?
No, I mean, I want to call out Glenn actually. Trying to claim I overtook him under yellow flags. Wasn't having any of that. I showed him my replay.
Nice.
It's not getting that position.
Well, it's quite appropriate. As we thank Shadow Hopper, we might actually be getting Godman Glenn on next, so let's see what the instant rebuttal for that one is. But Shadow, well done on P4. Great to see Alpine getting some points. Great to see you getting some points. Look forward to seeing you again next race.
Yeah, hopefully we can do the same.
Hell yeah. Catch you later, man.
All right, cheers.
Okay, Shadow getting those 12 points. Fantastic news for Alpine, who are quickly becoming the laughing stock on the pre-show, but definitely getting some pride involved. Hopefully we might be able to get one more interview in. We were hearing shouts that Glenn, the project captain of Ferrari, might have been interested. Yeah, let's see if we can get his perspective. Pulling a right stinker onto the broadcast, as a certain production director might say. It's Project Ferrari Captain Glenn. How you doing?
Oh, fantastic! How are you guys? That was quite a race, eh?
Sarcasm coming in hot. How are you doing, like, mentally and emotionally after that scarring event?
Which scarring event? The race in general? Like, oh. I'm feeling good. I've just come up from the green room. There's a lot of discussion about incidents that have gone on, contacts, different overtakes. So I think by the sounds of it, I got off relatively lightly, all things considered. So I'm doing all right.
Yeah,
you survived.
Yeah, you lived to tell the tale, got the t-shirt. A lot of the people who we've had on already, so Somtha, Miffy, Shadow, on our race winner Charlie, they've been fairly fortunate. They weren't involved in what I'm going to call the cursed train in those last 10 laps. They managed to steer clear of a lot of those incidents. From what I could see, you were in that train with Gaben, Hodgson, Franklin. I think Blaze was in there at one point. Impress, Carlos were all in there. How were you feeling going around those 90-degree turns and risking death on every move?
So I tried to keep my nose clean because I was scared of some of the people, and I know what they're capable of. So I was mostly sitting back.
Sorry, I have to ensure which people.
Oh, Brandon, you're asking for some hot takes here. I was scared of Impress and Hodgson. When I saw those two battling, I was like, oh my god, something's going to happen. Hodgson's impatient, Impress is dangerous. And something did happen, I think, up into Castle. That was what was just being shown by Hodgson in the channel below. So there's some sort of contact there. Not sure who's at fault. A lot of people will say Hodgson. Some people will say Impress. So I think we'll be in the steward's booth discussing that in a wee bit.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. We our first two interviews, so Miffy was repping Red Bull, and he said that Impress's name came up a lot in the Red Bull call. And then Somtha was repping Merck and said that Hodgson's name came up a lot in the Merck call. So all sorts of potential incidents between those drivers as we got into the last few laps. Although the next thing I'm going to ask you about is maybe something from a bit earlier. We just had Shadow Hopper on. I asked him if there's anyone he'd like to mention, and he called you out for potentially a weird overtake. Would you care to comment?
A weird overtake?
I think he said it was
the yellow
a
flag
safety
one.
car or a yellow flag overtake.
Oh, cheeky git. Like he's doing a reverse move for the lap 1, turn 2, like everyone trying to get past the carnage. And I saw out the corner of my eye fucking Impress and Shadow Hopper blasting past under yellows. Now, I've seen Shadow's POV, and I think it's perhaps cleared him. But Impress, I've yet to see. He's adamant that that I was off track, so that it was okay. But I'll need to review my footage for that. But
yeah, we can't make any legally binding statements just yet, but a lot to go on, shall we say?
Shadow Hopper mistaken. Impress remains to be seen.
I thought you were going to rhyme that one then, but we'll create a meme later, don't worry about it.
Excellent.
The next point I wanted to ask you on was you had now obviously not able to make it today. You had a complete rookie. We didn't know about him like an hour before the race. Clipto turned up and was in the Dutch team of Alfa Romeo for today. How did you find it? How was Clipto in comms? Was he a good driver to be around?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Ferrari call, I think, at the minute is got a good banter. Obviously, Chris and I in the Ferrari, and normally Envy and Navor, but today Envy and Clipto, and it was a good laugh. There's definitely a lot of frustration because the Alfa Romeo guys got I don't know how many drive-throughs between them, but more than two. So Delta was definitely a force to be reckoned with, but yeah, for the most part, it was all right. I'm pleased with how Clipto did, and I think Clipto enjoyed himself. I hope. So he's hopefully someone we'll see gracing other VL teams to slot in where he can in the future.
Yeah, well said. It's worth saying for the guys who don't know how it works on the broadcast. We've got the drafted drivers. So, for example, Glenn can only ever race for Project Ferrari, but Clipto, if he signs up as a reserve, can be drafted to any team that has a spot. So, Clipto could be Sonny's partner if Gaben can't make it next week, for instance. So, if anyone out there doesn't race at the moment, would like to have a go based on the chaos that they've seen and deciding that that's fun, you can sign up as a reserve. And you'll be assigned to a team based on the roster locks of the day if there's a space. So treat that as our advertising plug.
We need you.
Yeah, we need you. Imagine Glenn just pointing at you menacingly.
Meme to be made.
The other member of your team who I wanted to pay respects to was Fabs. He's your Jeff. He's your long-standing Jeff for a couple of seasons. I've seen him most of the time in Ferrari Discord just typing out penalties as they happened. How was he with the team today? Was he rapidly feeding info back?
Yeah, definitely. Couchy, our chief race engineer, serving all four drivers. He does an amazing job, and he's definitely the team's rock when it comes to shaky mental at times. He's the one that gets us sort of back in line and back focused. So he's he normally works off the stream, but from next week, I think he's going to try some fancy new telemetry tool that he's got his hands on. So lots of upgrades in the Ferrari camp. We've got the cash to splash, you can see.
Yeah, definitely got those personnel around, but yeah, it's a weird game. You've got the team to think of as the project captain. You've got your own personal progression. That's probably where I'd like to touch on finally. Looking at Season 5 and previously, you're probably one of VL's more consistent drivers. You've got one of the fewest retirements on the grid. I think it was only 2 in Season 5, Styria and Monaco. But apart from that, you've got a record of just picking up points regularly and across the course of the season, getting those average points and making it a marathon, not a sprint. So far in this season, you've only raced twice and one's been outside of the points. How are you feeling about being able to keep up that reputation about consistently getting points as we move through like the Middle East, the Far East, and the Australia section?
It's tough. It's tough, Cran. The grid this season is stacked, so consistent points might not be on the table anymore. I certainly don't have the pace in comparison to last season, I don't feel, and that sort of in combination with we've got a load of really quick drivers now. It makes it more and more difficult to sort of scoot into the top 10. So at the minute, I've sort of seen in this race, I've sort of been relying on people eating shit. I'm gonna put in a little bit of practice. I didn't do much for this track because it's the worst track ever. But to answer your question, definitely an uphill battle for the rest of the season, I suspect. But I'll try and get a little bit of points here and there when I can.
Well, it might work, it might not, but we look forward to seeing more races from you, Glenn. But yeah, thanks for joining us. I look forward to your further adventures with Project Ferrari, growing more by the season. And catch you next time.
Thank you very much. Been a pleasure, guys.
Okay, so Glenn leaves us. He's got an increasingly complex roster to deal with, having to deal with substitutes, throwing in the information from Fabs is Jeff. and managing one of the 4 project teams like our production guy Travis does with Red Bull. Okay, so that's all the interviews we're going to get done. We heard from our race winner, 4 of our top 5, and our man with the record-breaking nose in VL. Fantastic work from all of our drivers there. Let's have a look at some provisional standings. So it's worth saying that we've still got a steward review process to happen. That will happen over the next 2-3 days as the stewards consider all of the submitted appeals or the submissions for penalties. We'll get those voted on by the panel of stewards, and we'll get those penalty dished out by approximately midweek. Brandon has actually updated the sheet as it happens, so we can see the standings. And we've got quite a big distance at the top in the Drivers' Championship. Sonny, with a first and a second place finish, leads on 44 points. Tied behind him, Hodgson, with a race win and 2 points finishes on 41. And Somtha with 3 points finishes, including 2 podiums, also on 41. So massive trio there, big triumvirate. Pushka between those 3, Sonny, Hodgson, Somtha. Are those going to be the top 3 at the end? Are we going to see maybe Zydox, Gaben come in?
I mean, as long as Zydox is doing as well as he's done for this race, even if it's not like a first place, I feel like he could be in contention for a good, like, top 2, top 3.
Yeah, I can't argue against Zydox on the form today, and his PC has let him participate in 1 race, which he's won. So we take those.
Dobby's been allowed a sock.
Yeah, Master has been given new podiums. But on the other side, is there anyone who you think's like really underperforming? Someone's like way down at the bottom who really should be a bit higher, in your opinion?
As I don't know many of the people in the standings all too well, it'd be hard to say myself.
Gotcha.
As much as I'd love to meme and just say, haha, Miffy first, but that's just my bias.
Well, Miffy should be first. He's clearly the one we all pander to. Hoi. But anyway, we've got, Flyer's probably the pick for me on that front. He's been in 3 rosters so far. He's missed a race. He obviously had issues today. And to his credit and to Haas's credit, got a podium in Styria. But I think Flyer's going to quickly ascend up the rankings the more races he attends. He's just built different. He's got the pace. He's got the strategy calls. Yeah, Flyer's probably the one for me. So we've got the steward reviews happening there. When the results are classified and finalized, we will get those sent out. Apart from that, I think we're starting to close the book on this week, this weekend in Baku. Pushka, how have you found your experience with the added exercise of running through the 2 stations thrown in?
I didn't have to rotate as much as the cars did, so that's fine.
Well said. Well, we had a lot of spins. It was a very exciting race. I think we successfully took Alex's breath away like we already did his wrist. But we've got a lot of action on track anyway, and that's the way we love it as a neutral. I'm sure you can catch up with more info in the drivers, either in Twitch chat or VL Racing General. So looking ahead to next week, NSK Production will bring you more hard-hitting content in the form of Saturday, 7 p.m, the pre-show for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. That will be round 4 from the Jeddah Corniche circuit. That will provisionally be live with myself and race director Blaze. We'll have some guests, and that will be on Blaze Homewreckers stream to be confirmed. And then in a week's time, on Sunday, the 11th of December, the main event, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Jeddah Corniche circuit, qualifying and the race. And every moment will be live as ever with our team. Every lap here at official Valence League Twitch TV. And we'll have catch-up, interviews, and probably Hodgson making bad strategy calls, the works. And probably Pushka being drawn into every possible production role, probably streaming at the same time as being Ted Kravitz.
Oh, God,
Pushka,
no.
Pushka, before we hand off, any final words for anyone out there, any of our drivers or any of our team?
Remember to use your brake when you're going to hit another person.
Excellent advice.
Or don't.
Even more excellent advice. With that from Pushka, thank you to him. Thank you to Travis, our stand-in director for this week, who managed to get past the PowerPoint section and into the final race with some really good TV podding. to Charmander, our race lead, to all of our drivers, and to you guys who were spectating or jeffing. Anyway, here's some Pentakill.